Hey, yo, what's good, what's good, what's good? Welcome to Reflections of a DJ, the R.O.A.D podcast, presented by DJ City. We got a special New York edition of the R.O.A.D podcast. I'm your host, DJ Crooked. We got my man, DJ Never.
Yo, what up?
We got DJ D Miles.
New York was good.
We got Jamie the Great.
Yeah.
And we got special guests, my man who actually, we kind of came up at the same time in New York. One of the illest party rockers, one of the best mic voices in the game. And I mean, you was one of the first dudes. I remember you was like one of the first dudes really taking it professional. We used to call him the mayor. He used to hand like business cards out every time you saw him. I would always walk away from him. If I would meet you like at least 5 times throughout the week. You still got the business cards?
Still,
I would get like a business. I would come home at the end of the week and I'd have like 5 business cards from Reach.
6.
And yo, we got my man DJ Reach in the building.
Thank you. It's a pleasure and an honor.
Yo,
I got my government on those cards now, so now you know.
Shit.
Before I wouldn't let that out, but now you know I'm trying to be even more professional now.
You was always extra professional with your shit. You was the first motherfucker to actually come to the clubs in a blazer and a button up.
Yeah.
Overdressed practically.
Nah, right? But it was like because we were all looking bummy and shit. We would all be in t-shirts. I would be looking super bummy all the time. But that was kind of like the dope shit to be in New York and looking bummy and getting through the velvet rope. Like motherfuckers would let you in.
They'd be like, "Who the fuck is this bum?"
Yeah. You'd have all like the Wall Street motherfuckers like, "Yo, why you let that bum in?"
Exactly.
Like, and they're like, "Yo, he's the DJ," and they're like, "Ah." Cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know how many times there was like a doorman or door staff that would be like, "Yo, if you weren't DJing, son," like if they either said it or like you just felt the vibe was like, "Yo, if you weren't DJ, you would never get it."
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like it makes you feel like, all right, well, shit. Well, I'm DJing. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
but you was always in a button up and a blazer.
Yeah.
You was like super like shaking hands, like kissing babies. We used to call you the mayor. Like I remember, I was telling him, we used to joke about you. We used to call it like Mayor Goldie Wilson from Back to the Future. Yo, I'm gonna be mayor.
I remember meeting Reach before he was even DJing. He'd be at the clubs. He'd be like, "Yo, my name is DJ Reach. I'm gonna be DJing here soon, man. Here's my card." I'm like, "Who's this guy?"
You know, I really like. I looked at it like, you know, I just was so invested. I was so.
Where did that come from, though?
Yeah.
Where did you learn that, like, salesman marketing tactic to just really sell yourself? You know?
Yeah.
Because
wow. That's a very deep
because that's
story
really the thing about you is that you were one of the first dudes that really. That like you were getting into all the fashion events, you were getting the corporate parties, and you were the first dude that looked like you was in the, you know, you was like
red carpet ready.
Yeah, you was red carpet ready.
Yeah.
And then and I know you were doing like at the time it was like the height when you were kind of killing it. You were doing Baby Tuesdays at Marquee.
Yeah.
And then
shout out to Steve Aoki, who was on Wednesdays or Fridays and getting booed playing hip hop, by the way, at the time.
Really?
That's a story I can tell you too. And props to him for his journey. Obviously, another that's a true. I mean, my little bit of marketing knowledge. I'll take a little bit of credit, but he's someone who I bow to and look up to because he is truly a marketing guru and a marketing genius, you might even say. And a lot of people don't know Steve Aoki I believe he has a marketing degree and a women's studies degree. I don't think a lot of people know that. But I watched his moves, and not to get off topic or get off track a little bit, but I watched his career unfold because I remember a friend of mine was dating his sister, and she was popping before he was popping.
For the Fast and Furious movie.
Modeling, and then the Fast and Furious, and then
China, right? China Chow.
No, maybe that was her character name. I don't know.
No. You're mixing.
Wait, that's a different
thing. It was Devin
Aoki.
Yeah,
Devin is.
No, China Chow's another chick.
Yeah, she's another.
I thought it was like, was that their character name? I was like, I don't remember. I remember the Fast and Furious.
Yeah, she was in a Mark Wahlberg movie, right?
Exactly.
Where she got kidnapped and shit.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wait, I didn't know Steve Aoki was in New York.
Yeah, so Steve Aoki was in New York, and his dad, Benihana and everything, because his middle name is Benihana.
Yeah.
And that's his dad's restaurant. And you guys all know from Wolf of Wall Street, Benihana is what brought down the guy who, the guy from Wolf of Wall Street was Benihana, brought a case and everything, which is a crazy connection for him. So, he had bands and stuff like that, and I remember he was real serious about his band, and
this was in the early 2000s.
Early 2000s, yeah. I'm pretty sure he had a band, and he was like working on his production stuff and like literally like he was cool, super cool. His energy was cool. He was always like mad cool, good vibes. But he just he was still finding himself as a DJ, and they put him on. I'm pretty sure they put him on because like his sister was in the cool crowd.
Right.
She was hanging with Just Ski, and one of our mutual friends was dating Devin, and so she was like in the circle, and it was her brother, and they had bread and they had paper and they were connected and stuff like that. So
did he go by Steve Aoki or he had an artist name?
I think he still had the Kid Millionaire thing right around that time. Was like I don't know if that was his DJ name or if he was just doing it as Steve. I think he was as Steve. I think it was Steve Aoki at the time.
Wait, so this is where you got all your like marketing and shits?
No. I can't say that.
Okay.
But I took a notice to how he approached marketing when he had Cinespace in LA, which was I think like really the first party that started his movement, which was I think Wednesday nights or something like that. And I remember being in LA. I had like a couple of crazy residencies, like everything was just clicking for me at the time, and I was, it was like 2 or 3 of the hottest spots in LA, and I was doing them, and they were flying me out every month, and it was like every other week or something crazy like that. David Jadakin, who had like My House and before it was whatever it was called even before that, and I had these residencies, and I remember on my night off, I was like, man, what do I do? What's popping? And somebody said, yo, go to Cinespace, and it's Aoki's party. And it was like an early electro movement. And so I was like, yo, you know what? That's the homie. Let me go dap him up. I haven't seen him in a minute. So I go through, and I'm not expecting much. It's like a planetarium. It's like almost like a mini museum or something about like, the space and comets and shit like that, and he had like it's like let's do a party in a place that people wouldn't think there would be a party. Right. So it's like that kind of a venue. Yeah. So I go and I roll up. I'm like not expecting much, and there's like 500 like 19-year-old kids, and they're just like flooded, and like I'm hearing mad electro. I'm like, the fuck is this?
What year is this?
Like this is probably 2000 and
6, 7, or 8.
Yeah, maybe like 2005, like 2005, maybe 2004 even. I don't know. Like probably 5 or 6. And so I'm like, yo, this is crazy. This kid got a whole movement. I go dap him up. He's got girls all over him. He's popping. I'm like, oh snap. So I'm like, damn, this is a wave. But I couldn't get into the music as much. I was like, I see it. I see what it is. Like, this is a thing. Like this could jump off. And I remember. I don't know if he said it or if like other mutual friends of ours in the kind of moment were like, yo, this is about to be what's up. Mm-hmm. And I was like, Jay-Z, Guns N' Roses, like, yeah, good luck. Like, I was like, yeah, all right, whatever.
Like you didn't see Electro popping. Like
I didn't see it in that moment. I definitely didn't see it. I thought this is like, I thought of it. Well, what's funny was I saw the connection and the connective thread to the to the rave movement in New York in the 90s because my older brother was down with that scene. He really put me onto that scene. He was trying to be a promoter back in the early 90s. And it was NASA, it was Liquid Sky, it was like everything that was going on at NASA was the club. It was just on in Tribeca, just below Canal Street.
Probably like what Wetlands used to be.
Exactly. And then eventually I think it was called Vinyl at one point. It was called Vinyl. Right. Mm-hmm. Remember that? And that was around the time of the movie Kids. That was
they filmed it in NASA.
In NASA. Yeah. So man, that's a whole other story. Which is like, yo, that was like. The rave scene of the 90s in New York where like you were 14, 15, 16 in the club.
All right. I'm still trying to understand where this marketing connection with Steve Aoki. Like,
let's get to that. The only thing I'll say about Steve Aoki is this. Steve Aoki, I just watched I first like really started to take him seriously with that CineSpace party.
Yeah.
And then literally maybe within 12 months, he and AM, or it seemed like 12 months, just looking back.
Banana Split.
Banana Split. And then that was it. Like once Banana Split hit, it was like, okay, like everyone in LA that I knew was like, yo, you have to go to this party. This is the shit. Yeah. And that even fed CineSpace Wednesdays even more because Sunday's Banana Split was just so insane. Everybody was talking about it. AM was like, you know, really at that breakout point where he was just like turning into God status. Mm-hmm. And the fact that he had kind of like, I remember Rocktacon telling me that he's like, yo, man, he's so sick of playing like all those like Michael Jackson and Guns N' Roses and like the hip hop records. He's just sick of that set. So he's got this party where him and Aoki can play whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah, and it was the emergence of the electro sound kind of
exactly.
Like Baltimore Club was taking up.
Totally. You know what? It was the CineSpace party and the Banana Split made me take this kid that I saw, you know, chilling in Marquee with like the best intentions, but not that, you know, he hadn't found himself DJ wise, but he had like the energy and he had like, you know, a presence and you know, some good connections and shit like that. He had the right positioning, but he didn't have the sound yet.
Yeah.
And so he was on my radar. I was like, yo, cool, like that kid. We got friends in common. Next encounter, Banana Split, homies tell me to go buy his shit. I'm like, yeah, let me go see him again. He was a nice kid. Go see him. I'm like, oh shit, what? Next thing I know, I go back home. I come back a few trips later. He's got Banana Split with AM. I'm like, what? Whoa, okay.
Yeah.
So this is really starting to move. So I'm like, let me watch this kid. Like, let me watch like his how he's branding himself. Let me watch. So he started coming with merch. I had already had my own merch. He didn't put me on the merch. I don't want to say that, but like he started coming with merch.
Well, like what I was talking about, because when I saw you coming up with your marketing, right?
Yeah,
it was in the early 2000s.
Yes,
and then you were kind of really becoming, you were one of the DJs that was really taking the corporate events and corporate shit, and you like, and nightclubs were really investing in you. Like Tao Group was really investing in you.
For
you know
me,
what I mean?
It was Puff Daddy. You want me to answer that question? I really, when I think about it, now that you phrased it that way, it makes me.
But it is that Harlem. It's that Harlem.
It was Puff.
Yeah,
because
you're from Harlem.
Yes,
and you got that Harlem like kind of like marketing and kind of braggadocious, like you're dressing the hustle.
Yeah.
But also like Harlem motherfuckers is always kind of like a little dapper and doing their shit.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, it's funny. I have a group text with a bunch of DJs who probably listen to this because we talk about this amazing podcast.
I'm sure y'all hate on that.
No, never a bad word.
Did
never
you hear
ever.
what Crooked said last week? Oh,
yo, it's honestly it's nothing but love and props. 100%. I'll tell you if there's haters in it. But you know, it was. I was texting with those guys and there's like 20 DJs in there and promoters and shit like that and I was texting with them and we always get into heated debates. We be on each other's neck. You don't know what you're talking about. Blah blah blah. And I had just like this thought to myself. I was like, yo, Puff Daddy Sean Combs was the first black president.
Elaborate.
This sounds crazy.
Elaborate.
The reason why I am giving him that title was because when I say president, I mean also the fact that he, you know, listen, he wasn't the president of the United States.
You're saying like he was the first CEO, kind of like
he was the first, you know, what I consider like so large of a personality, as a black, you know, popular figure that he could have represented a portion of the country, a portion of the nation. He was in some ways role model. We all know his you know the faults he had and the controversy and things that he got caught up in and things like that. But he was so influential that he could have been like a candidate that the black community could have rallied behind. Right. And I'll add on to that and say, and it's gonna sound, I know it all sounds crazy, but what I love about Puff, and as a junior high school kid and a preteen and teenage kid, he inspired me to, as one of the few black role models, that I could relate to, role models of color that I could relate to. He inspired me to go out and get the American dream. He inspired me to embrace my culture, embrace the music, embrace the art, etc., etc. And he did it and has done it in such an unapologetic way that no other black celebrity, I won't say that. I'll just say because Muhammad Ali did it unapologetically. Yeah. There was a time where James Brown did it unapologetically.
Well, like what he represented the behind the scenes business aspect of like the record industry.
Sure.
But he was very much a salesman in front of the camera and like pushing the culture.
Yes.
And then he was just having his hands on everything and making the whole package together. Right?
He is more comfortable in front of the camera and on the red carpet and ready, like politician ready, than Jay-Z, than Kanye West, than Russell Simmons. Mm-hmm. I don't think that there's another black celebrity of his stature other than, let's say, a Oprah, who is more ready. And there's a couple elements here, and I don't have to dwell on this for too long. We can talk about other things, but I just was thinking about it. And Swizz said something a while ago last year that really stuck with me, which is like, we don't fully appreciate Puff because he's still around and he's accessible.
Yeah.
Puff introduced and universalized globally.
I like
black
that.
luxury.
Universalized.
Black luxury.
Black luxury.
The idea of black luxury, black opulence, and making that something that is so has such a perceived value that brands need to respect it. Brands need to get down with it in order to be down with the wave. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so when we look at the true value of that, coming from a kid who had humble beginnings, interning, dropped out of college, Pops was murdered, hustler, street dude. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know his mom's background. I mean, maybe she was a teacher. I'm not sure, but his American Dream story is unbelievable. Mm-hmm. I've been going back and listening to. I had the honor and the pleasure of DJing the 25th anniversary of Illmatic event for Nas.
Oh, okay,
at Sony building a couple weeks ago, which was that was just very personally important to me because that album changed my life. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I was going back and I was listening to Illmatic, listen to It Was Written, listen to old Nas albums, listen to old J albums. Then a week or two later, the B-Sides 2 concert happens, and everybody's going nuts, and I'm like, man, I can't believe I missed it. But just soaking up and just reflecting back on our lifetime and some of the music and some of the greatness that we have witnessed. You see those memes on social media where it'll be like a stack of old tapes or CDs, and it'll be like, yo, this was the era. Like, I literally saw one when I was in the cab on the way coming over here. Far Side, Cypress Hill, Lethal Injection, Ice Cube, Wu-Tang, 36 Chambers, Mobb Deep, Gangsta. And you're like, it's so familiar to us. Mm-hmm. But it's like, imagine if the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, Guns N' Roses, fucking Eric Clapton and Cream, all came out within the same 2 years.
Yeah.
Their most legendary albums just came out. Boom, 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 boom. Not 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. No, they came out within a span of 2 to 3 years. Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll widen it a little bit and say 5 years. Imagine that.
Yeah.
That's insane. So we have the great fortune of having been there to witness that. Yeah. And I heard y'all talk about on a previous show, I think maybe the last episode. Sorry, I talk so loud. I heard y'all talk about rest in peace John Singleton and his impact as a filmmaker, and that moment with the Hughes brothers, with him, with Eric Dickerson and Juice, with just F. Gary Gray. Somebody mentioned F. Gary Gray. We just. And that's the thing about, and I think it has to do, it also kind of circles back to Puff in a way, and it circles back to, this moment and this kind of crazy period of time that is really, really groundbreaking for American culture, and artistically speaking, I won't talk about the business side of things in terms of economics and stuff like that or politics, but like just speaking culture and art and American homegrown art. And a lot of that traces back of the last 30 years, really much longer than that, but a lot of it traces back to, minority cultures, Black, Latino, Asian, like it traces back to our cultures and us kind of finally getting a platform and getting a voice and getting center stage, getting to share the spotlight, getting to get a character or two on the sitcom, on the show, on and so being able to get on the charts and not just be the unicorn, the Michael, and the
Well, I mean, at the time when you were coming up, right?
Yes.
And then, like I said, you were like doing the Carson Daly show.
Yes.
And then, like, I felt like corporate America and a lot of these nightclubs were like, "Yo, we're gonna invest in DJ reach."
Yes.
And like because of how great of a salesman and a marketing guy you were, and obviously you were like one of the illest motherfuckers.
I've never been the illest scratcher. I've never had the best blends. Because I'll be honest, I didn't really invest my time into that. I think if I did invest my time into that, I think, I would have been sick with it.
But you were just a nasty ass party rocker.
That was always, and it was like the Harlem, the like essence of hip hop, Harlem, Bronx roots of mine that were like, yo, I'm gonna rock this shit. Like, I gotta use every tool that's not nailed down, whether it's a microphone, whether it's a fucking horn, whether it's a fucking a vinyl or this or that. I'm gonna use whatever is there, the people in the room as references to rock this. And this is how I still feel to this day.
Yeah.
About DJs. If you don't make your presence felt, especially now with the way technology is creeping up and just advancing and evolving, if you don't make your presence felt, then how do people see your unique value? If you don't put your signature on your set, there's people, I've been in the booth with Darren, he's seen management and owners and customers be like, this guy, get this guy off, turn this guy down, take the mic away. Like, but you know what? Like, and there's times when I've walked out of a show and been like, usually it was alcohol involved at the time. I don't drink as much for the last few years, partially because of that. But no matter what, the essence of me was always like, I'm going to bring DJ Reach to this room.
Yeah, I mean, you on the mic, rocking a party is, to me, like, I mean, didn't AM say that he would give, like, he would take away like portions of his technical skill to be able to have your voice or to have your mic work?
He told me that. He told me that. He was like,
how did that? Where did that conversation come from?
Shit. Wow, where were we? No, I think it was Marquee, actually. I think it was Marquee, and I think it was a Nextel NASCAR party, and he and I were playing, and I was opening, he was getting on. I was probably getting $1,000, and he was getting like 20 grand. But we had this little moment, like, before he got on, like, you know what I mean? And everybody's, like, coming over, trying to give him, like, you want drinks? And girls is, like, ready to, like, take their shirt off and all that other stuff. And he's like, like, easy. And he's like, yo. And he, like, just literally, like, blocked all the people out in the room and was like, yo, I just want to say, like, I appreciate you. I just want to say, like, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. Been, like... we had interactions a bunch of times before and had a million friends in common, but it was like, he was just like, yo, dog, like, I was at, I don't know, he was somewhere after a gig or something that I was playing or something like that, and he was like, yo, dude, like, the shit you're doing, like, he's like, yo, I would trade, like, these hands at some points, and I feel like, yo, I wish I could trade these hands for that mic. And I was like those mic skills, and I was like, That's crazy. Yeah. That was like a huge honor, you know what I mean? Because I give him mad respect, and so that was that was something that I really appreciated.
That's the funny thing about like DJs, like with DJM as famous as he was just really a fan of just DJing and just DJs in general. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
He was one for the people.
Yeah.
Like and I think and for me, like what really showed me that too was I had like, you know, there was a point in time when Rockticon was fairly new to New York, or at least to like, you know, on my radar, to like the downtown club scene or whatever. And I don't remember how it came about, but me and him kind of like forged a friendship. And I was throwing him some gigs, and he was throwing me. He was opening up, or like he would fill in for me sometime when he wasn't opening up for me. He would fill in for me sometime when I had gigs that I couldn't do.
I mean, your legendary party that even you're still doing to this day, right? Tuesday, Baby Tuesdays.
Yeah.
It's at Marquee. You were doing it on Tuesday.
2003.
Wasn't Rockticon upstairs?
Yes, I think Rockticon was upstairs. Yeah, he was upstairs, and then they actually had him multiple nights a week because he was obviously that good.
But I think that Tuesday, like I remember, it was just a legendary time in New York on that Tuesday at Marquee, because you would go into Marquee and there'd be Reach rocking the main room, like doing like this mainstream ill set, and then you'd go upstairs and there would be Rockticon spinning like rock and indie shit, and then 80s, and then like sprinkles of hip hop, and it was just, I mean, at the time, now that I think about it, it was maybe some of the best DJ sets I've ever heard in my life, and it kind of like, it taught me a lot, like watching you rock the room, and then like hearing Rockticon, it was just like, yo, like I didn't know which room I wanted to be in. I'd be like going back and forth, you know what I mean? And
shout out, I agree 1,000%. Shout out to Rockticon who got me on Serato. Because Tao Group literally said to me, "Do not come back to Vegas next week until you're on Serato."
Yo, so
I have records that are still at Tao in a closet somewhere, like vinyl.
I remember seeing you at the airport like in 2006.
Yes,
you had crates of records. I'm like, dude, you're not on Serato yet? He's like, nah.
Yo, AM would be like, yo, dog, like, I don't want to see you with records again, bro. Like, come to my crib, let me get you set up. Like, he's like, come on, like, what? I got you. What do you need?
Why were you holding off? What was it?
You know, I was like,
trying
just
to keep it
on
real.
some. I
would talk to Rock.
Yes,
and then I'd be like, yo, he's like, yo, I don't know why this fucking guy. He's like, yo, It's like I had to fucking force him to get a fucking computer and get him to
he literally single-handedly got me on Serato. Single-handedly. Like,
what was the you were the last motherfucker.
The last. Like, Jason Strauss said, do not come back to your residency until you are on Serato.
And then after he got the laptop, like 10 years later, in like 2000,
I'm still on Serato DJ. I mean,
2015. He was still rocking like the 12-inch MacBooks from like the first ones that came out.
Yes,
the one with the little bar on the mouse.
Yeah, he had the silver joint. The silver
keyboards.
But they But they stopped making the 12-inch. They didn't make the 12-inch after
they fucked me up with that. They fucked me up.
I don't know. He used to
switched up. Why are you gonna do that shit? You know.
It looked, and then I remember seeing him rocking. I think it was Tao or something in Vegas, and it looked like he was on a big sidekick. That's what it looked like. Because that shit was like 12 inches.
Big ass two-way.
I was just like, yo, it looked like a big two-way that you were DJing on. I was like, yo, man, what are you doing, fam?
Yo, people don't know that DJ booth, to get into that booth with crates of records, it was like ridiculous. That steep ass,
that ladder.
Yeah, that steep ass ladder.
Don't try to be, and then if you're drunk,
good
luck. You know how many times the crates like fell down, you know, some steps.
How many crates were you flying in?
I was literally so I don't know if people know this. So 2003, I start Marquee. Marquee had, I'll tell you a couple of things. 2003, I start Marquee. Marquee had opened. I don't remember what month, but I was showing up for the first 3 months and barely getting in the club. Was is at the door. But I'm like kind of feeling myself a little bit because I'm like, yo, like I'm making it. Like I got a full schedule. I'm playing 5 nights a week. I'm making bread, and it was like that. None of that matters over here. Like who, what? And I knew Noah and Jason from high school. Like we had mutual friends in common.
You went to high school with them?
Nah, Noah went to Stuyvesant. Jason went to Riverdale, I think, Riverdale. And we had friends in common. They're a little older than me. We had friends in common. And I truthfully, like from junior high school, I had been seeing their names on teeny bopper party flyers. Because they were throwing like the holiday weekend parties when it's like Columbus Day, and back in the 90s, I don't think they still do this in the city, but like a club, like a random club that probably wasn't making much bread, would give like some teenage kids Sunday night of a 3-day weekend to like blow it out.
Yeah.
So they would get those contracts and they would like crush it with like 500 high school kids. Probably get away, like, you know, there's definitely liquor there, you know what I mean? You know, so I knew of them from that long, and we had, you know, numerous friends in common. They were cool with Jusky, they were cool with Richie. I knew those guys from junior high, you know, as well. You know what I'm saying? One of my best friends, one of my very close friends was on Little League baseball team with Richie Akiva, and so and Jusky, you know, there were graffiti crews too, and Reach is my tag. Like Reach was originally my tag, so I knew those kids, you know, just from similar circles. Yeah. So I'm going up to Noah. I got my CD, and I'm like, you know, when I did get in finally, I went up to him, I'm like, yo, the business card, and I added a CD into the pitch, and I was like, yo, hey, yo, listen, man, Reach, yeah, oh, cool, hey, mad polite, must have had 5 of my CDs. Never got a call back. The residency was Big Ben's residency, Tuesday Baby Tuesday at the time. What happened to me was a promoter who actually was a co-owner of another club, which was crazy, but he promoted at Marquee on Tuesdays. He was having his birthday, and they were like, yo, he was a big model promoter, whatever. He had, you know, spenders and shit like that. And they were like, what do you want to do for your birthday? Let's make a big deal out of it. Let's get these sales going. Let's really blow it out. And he was like, yo, I just want to have this kid DJ. And they were like, what? Who? And they're like, he's like, this kid Reach. And they were like, that guy, yeah, we don't want to take the risk. We got Ben, you know, we're really happy with him. He's been our DJ since Sweet 16, you know, which is their club before Marquee. Right. And they were like, yo, we don't want to rock the boat, man. Like, Ben does his thing, like, you know, and the promoter was like, yo, just trust me, have this kid DJ. And nobody in that scene yet was playing open format hip hop rock 80s in that way that I was putting it together, like quick mixing, high energy. I'm giving you boom, boom, boom. I'm giving you Hove. I'm giving you Big. I'm giving you AC/DC, Run DMC, blah 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 blah. I'm giving you Bowie. I'm giving you Blondie. No, they had not. Literally, I played the first time. They're like, yo, if you're not good, we're yanking you. And this guy's going back on. I don't know if it was Ben, if he was even there. I can't remember like that moment. I don't remember if he was there in the room or if they had somebody like, you know, a backup. Yeah. But they were like, yo, this is our big money night. This is our new club. Like, you can't fuck this up. And I was just like literally saying prayers like, oh God, let me rock this shit. Went in there, vinyl, full vinyl, obviously. They had the Yuri mixer. Yeah. I'm like, really? You got the fucking Yuri mixer? Really?
Yuri is like all knobs, no fader.
All knobs, no fucking fader.
Yeah.
Right?
Is that a rotary joint?
It's rotary joint. Knobs, yeah.
And I'm like, okay, great. And so I had literally, just to go back one little half step briefly, I kept, whatever gig I had on Monday nights or something like that, I would jump in a cab to go back home to my crib, and I kept seeing this building. And I would see this building, and it was like they was under construction, and then I swear on my life, one point I got out of the cab, and I said, what is this building? And I told the cab to pull over. I get out of the cab, I go up, because now it had a little sign on it. And the sign said Marquee. And I was like, this is going to be a club. Okay. And I don't know what it was. Sounds insane. It literally like spoke to me. I was like, yo, I shit you not on my daughter's life. And I was like, yo, all right, I'm going to come back here when this place opens.
Yeah. So it was like a major goal for you, right?
Major goal for me to get in the door of that place.
It was almost like destiny and shit. Yeah.
Destiny to get in that place. And they had been shitting on me. They had, like, not politely shitting on me. Like, you know, like
they didn't want to give you a chance.
Like, like they were like, yo, thank you, cool.
They're like, Mayor Goldie Wilson? We know Mayor Goldie Wilson. Like, they have all his business cards.
Yeah, they were like, yo, put that in the trash pile with his other.
So you ended up showing out, right?
So I bodied it. They said to me, this is your night now. Straight up, this is your night now.
And what was it, Sundays?
That was Tuesday.
It was Tuesday.
That was Tuesday, maybe Tuesday. This is what they said. They said, so I bodied it. I come back the next Tuesday, body it. Jason Strauss comes up to me and says, me and my partner Noah, our personal night, because Wednesdays was house music, Tuesdays was open format hip hop. Open format wasn't a term at the time, and then Thursdays was open format again, hip hop night, and it was their personal night that they personally like, because you know Tuesday Baby Tuesday was other promoters who really took the lead, and they had like a big chunk of the bar and stuff, but Thursdays was Noah and Jason's personal night that they went into their context and really tried to blow it out. So they were like, Jason's birthday is next week. Do you want to headline Jason's birthday? And I was like, yeah, shit, all right. Body that. They were like, this is your night. I had both nights. Those were the two hip hop nights.
Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Tuesdays and Thursdays were insane.
I got a question.
Yes.
How did that affect your relationship with Ben? Or like, did y'all even have a relationship at the time? Or like,
you know that's a great question. You know, we weren't that close, but we were like peers. We were like peers in the sense that like I'd see him places. He was already on. He was already doing spots I dreamed of doing for several years.
Yeah.
And I would give him dap in the record store. I'd give him dap in the club. And in that moment, like, you know, he's a person, and I have the utmost respect and love for him. I consider him a friend and a dope ass legendary DJ from New York that I respect so much. He's low key with it. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't really show his emotions like that. You know, so he was like, whatever. Like, he was like light with it. So like, you know, at that time, and he probably had 10 other gigs too.
Yeah. But at that time, I mean, it was a small circle of DJs that were in circulation.
Yeah.
So at that time, if I made it into, let's say all of a sudden DJ Crooked popped up, and now DJ Crooked's at PM. Oh shit, DJ Crooked's at 1 on Sundays. People would just be like, how did he get in here? Yep. And then they would listen to you, and they'd be like, oh, okay, he shows out, like, and then it would be a mutual respect thing. Yeah. But like also at that time, we were also it was such a small circle. It was like me, you, Todd Malice, Ellie Escobar, Rocky Khan, and who else was in the circuit? I mean, there was a handful of Eric
Jusky was in it. Eric
Lapoe was kind of on his way.
Yes,
Mark
he moved to Miami. Yeah, by then.
But Mark Ronson was like those were like the guys who kind of moved on.
Cassidy, Jusky,
Soul, right?
Samantha, Soul.
So, but there was like a small circle of New York dudes that were in rotation. It was so small that we all kind of like worked and we would see each other. But if someone like, for example, if I was doing Suede, or if I was doing Lotus or something, and then Ani Quinn came in, and Ani Quinn would maybe take it. It wasn't like, yo,
shout out to the homie Ani
it wasn't
Quinn.
Like fuck him. It was kind of like, well, I got to step my shit up. Like, you know what I mean? So it wasn't like. So I'm sure Big Ben was like, kind of like, all right, man. He's like, you know, he's doing this thing, and I'm still doing my shit. Right. And it wasn't like where it's kind of like now, where it's very cutthroat now. There's so many DJs, and everyone's like coming.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Right. Like, but back then, I mean, you definitely felt the way if you lost a night.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
It was more of a kind of like, yo, it's going to a homie, and he's dope, and like I'll find another night.
To Ben's credit, too, he got the residency back at one point.
Yeah.
To Ben's credit, he got the residency back. Mm-hmm. I ended up getting it again after that.
But how was you feeling? How was you feeling?
I was like, damn. Like I was like, you know what? I was like, yo, you know what? Like, it's almost like kind of like shit coming full circle. Like kind of like not karma, but like, you know, kind of like it's almost like I couldn't be mad. You know what I mean? In a way, but it did what you said. It made me be like, yo, I gotta get back on my shit.
Step the game up.
I gotta step my fucking game up. And like.
But it would happen here in New York also because it's like when you're a resident like Reach, right? When he's doing Tuesday, Thursday, and then he's at 4 of the nights and he's working 5 nights a week. Sometimes people will be like, "Yo, man, like everyone, it's just like a
They're
similar.
hearing you.
You're hearing the same
they're
sound.
Hearing you.
Some people are anticipating mixes. So
yes.
they just want to switch it up. So it's not even that you're a bad DJ.
Yeah,
and it's just one of those things where it's like, yo, we just want to switch it up a little bit. You know.
You know what? To that same point too was, once I realized how valuable this opportunity was, I kind of got I kind of got a bit sort of narrow-minded with my musical choices, because I was like, man, I wanted to hit, like, feeling that we all have felt the rush of you bodied it and the room is in your hand, and it, like, wherever you're about to take it, they're going with you. They're fully invested. They are going with you. The crowd, they're like, Jesus lead us, like, you know what I mean? You know, and so it that high and that rush and this, like, the appreciation I was getting made me feel like I was almost starting to, like, second guess creative things that I would have done prior to that, and in other rooms on other nights. So
basically, you're like, I have this formula.
Yeah, I kind of was like, let me not go too far outside.
Let me keep this formula.
Yeah.
But then you kind of pigeonhole yourself to sounding almost the same.
Yes.
Yeah.
Facts. And then for me personally on that Mayor shit, you know, anybody who's seen me, you know, DJing in some of these big rooms, like, especially in Vegas, like, I'll have, like, 5 girls in the booth, or like 3 homies and a client, and like, so I was like, I was recognizing that part of my value to the club was not just music, but it was this personality.
Well, you were definitely like, you were everything in one. You were like a politician. You were like a host. You were like a promoter.
Yes.
And then you.
I was literally a promoter bringing 100 people.
Yeah.
I had 50 to 100 people. When I was doing Tuesday Baby Tuesday and Thursday nights, I had like other clubs where me and my team which were my 2 best friends from college, were doing two of my best friends from college were doing another club. And
this was Alex and Jed?
This is Alex and Jed.
And y'all all went to Wesleyan?
We all went to Wesleyan. They're from Boston. Jed's from Boston and Alex from Rhode Island. And Jed is the one who told me about the audition. He essentially got me the audition for a Carson Daly show.
They used to be the 3 Musketeers. It'd be like Reach, Alex, and Jed. Yeah.
So I have a crazy story about that. So when we came out of school, I was DJ. Jed used to DJ too, but when we came out, he DJed when we were on campus too, and he was like my DJ rival. I had a partner, DJ Jahi Sundance.
So y'all were doing parties in college.
So we were doing parties in college at Wesleyan. We were the go-to, like, me and my partner Jahi Sundance were the go-to DJs on campus for the 4 years that we were there. And in our senior year, this kid Jed, who was a homie because it was a small school, but he brought his turntables back from like break. And he was like, yo, I'm gonna start DJing, I'm gonna start DJing on campus. And we were so comfortable. We were getting every party, and he started a night and started like getting his own movement. And I remember my partner Jahi, and I'm sure he'd probably admit this. He was kind of like, we're not letting that kid rock. And I was like, wait, let's just see what he's gonna do. Yeah. And he created a night, and he was like a hot new night on campus, and I was like, yo, and I embraced him and adapt him. And my partner was kind of like, yo, nah, man, fuck that. So but the thing is, that that goodwill translated into him giving me a call and saying, I'm working for Carson Daly. You still spinning, right? Yeah.
So that's how you got into the
And he
Carson
was like,
Daly.
you want to try this audition? So I come, and I'm like, when's the audition? He said, tomorrow at noon. I'm like, oh, shit. I'm like, what the hell? Like, I'm trying to plan my crates. I walk in. I'm pretty sure it's Flex, Green Lantern.
Wow.
Oh shit.
Like major motherfuckers. And I'm nobody. And I'm like, wow, what the fuck am I gonna do? And they're putting you in front of a live audience, and they're taping a test show. And if the show, it might be something that they use on the season, or it might be something that never airs ever. It's before the show actually started and launched. Yeah. But it's like the months leading up to the launch of the show.
Like a bunch of pilots and test pilots.
Yeah. Totally. So I had never been involved in like TV on that level. I think I like once was like in the audience at Nickelodeon or something like that as a kid. You know, Double Dare or some shit. And so so I'm like, damn, like, but the one thing that I thought was, and this is where like open format has really been so important to the success of my career. These guys are coming in and they're playing straight hip hop sets.
Right.
Mm-hmm. The show that I had, the interview guest was Gwyneth Paltrow. The musical guest was Mobb Deep. You couldn't have two more polar opposites in a show.
Yeah.
But I had the Beatles, Hove, Biggie, Mob, et cetera, Bowie, Hendrix. I had all those in that crate that I brought to the station, those couple of crates.
Yeah.
Those guys didn't have that. So Gwyneth Paltrow, literally, he's interviewing her, and he's like, how was it growing up in New York, and you went to Spence private school on the Upper East Side, and what was that experience like? And, what was playing, because Carson's whole thing was music coming from MTV, so that was really kind of his angle. He's not a comedian. He was never... No disrespect, Carson. He was never like the funny guy. His thing was, I'm gonna bring these amazing musical guests, and like the common thread of our conversations is gonna be music and a love of music. So he's asking her, what was the music playing in your house? She says the Beatles, and we cut to commercial, and I go to the Beatles, and she's like, looks in the DJ booth like, hey,
yeah. What did you end up playing?
I think I played Come Together.
Come Together.
I played Come Together. Doom, 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 doom. And so Carson sees, and then Mob comes on, and I put my Lifetime in between the papers, and so, I was able to be diverse with my format, and literally, again, it was just one of those things. They're like, this is your opportunity.
So that's how you got it.
We don't need to see anybody else. You're the DJ.
What were you wearing?
A blazer. Seersucker,
Were you all? Where did the blazers come from?
So the blazer thing comes in this.
Is it from Catholic school?
Yes, that's part of it.
Because you went to which one?
St. Anne's and Cathedral. Cathedral, I had to wear uniform. St. Anne's, we could wear whatever we wanted.
Okay, but Cathedral was on 79th.
Actually, 110th.
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 Okay,
but we had another building. We had another building on where we on 80th or 79th.
I think 80th and 79th. Yeah. Because I think when I was in high school, because I went to Calhoun.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then it was like, I think at one time we were just feeling bold, and we walked through.
Damn.
We walked through the school
with the uniform on.
No, we didn't have no uniform. We just decided to walk through the courtyard. And
shit.
It's like, sounds like some blood in, blood out shit.
Nah, we were just like stupid. And we just walked in, and then a couple, and at the time it was like I was on a full scholarship at Calhoun.
Same full scholarship.
And then, but they were like street kids that went to the Catholic school.
Yes.
But they had scholarships and shit.
Yes.
So those motherfuckers started like sizing us up,
pressing y'all up,
and it actually became like a big deal because one of my boys pulled out a box cutter and that was all the shit.
Now that's we can talk about New York in the 90s. Woo! We can talk about New York in the 90s.
That's where it came, the blazer, because you was always in the blazer, and I mean D Nice has always attributed like how he changed his look, and like
I literally it's funny. I love D's legend. I always joke with him. I owned thanks to my older brother. I didn't even own it. My brother owned it, but I wanted to steal it from him. When CDs came in the long case,
the box case,
the box case, the joint that was like 1.5 feet. That was I had the D Nice album. My brother had it, To the Rescue, and it was like, not to mention only just also looking up to him from BDP days. But I remember D was making a comeback. One of his best friends, rest in peace, Chris Lighty. D was making a comeback into DJing.
Because we started seeing him around a little bit more.
Yes, and
he was like snooping around.
He kind of snubbed me on the gig. I'm not gonna lie. He kind of snubbed me on the gig, and this is what I saw. And listen, it was love. It wasn't like, yo, I'm gonna tear you down to build myself up. It wasn't anything like that. It's just he had gotten in with a promoter. Promoters are funny too. So he got in, because I've seen stuff like this happen over the years in different ways. He had gotten down with a promoter who also must have looked up to him and was like, yo, you're D Nice? Like, they call me D Nice. And the promoter, I remember his name and everything. The promoter took him under his wing and was like, yo, I'm going to bring you to all of my... And he was a model promoter. He had clout. And he was like, I'm going to bring you to all of my clubs that I work at. And I'm going to get props because I'm bringing this guy. Even if he, I think it was also kind of like, he felt he loved D so much, and he knew who D was, and he thought that the clubs would know, and they didn't really fully know. But he was like, yo, I'm gonna bring kind of like this celebrity to the clubs. I'm gonna get props for that, and I'm gonna put him on and push him as a DJ that we should hire. And like,
well, it was good marketing because it was like a hip hop legend,
Yeah, I mean,
exactly, part of a legendary group,
of course.
Yeah, and then he wasn't in the club scene, but like I remember I was doing 40/40.
Yeah,
and he was like kind of like, and he would introduce himself, and you'd be like, "Fuck D Nice," like,
right,
yo, what up? And then he'd be kind of like seeing what records we were playing and what was working in the club.
Yes,
and then it was kind of like he was just kind of like. Kind of being like, maybe I could do this club shit.
He was sizing shit up. He was definitely. That's the thing. Like, I remember he literally was like, and this happened to me,
and it happened fast.
Yeah, it happened fast for him. but I think part of it.
I mean, like he really saw the market and he put it into plan. 100%.
You know what I mean? 100%.
Yeah,
100%. I have the utmost respect for him for doing that, because not everybody can do that. Can say, yo, I think I might try this, or I think I might go for this, and then they're in it.
Because we were all like, yo, man, I saw D Nice, and he'd be like, yeah, I saw D Nice too.
You know,
and then like a couple months later, he'd be like, yo, he's getting residency.
Yeah, and I think also was and this is one thing I'm going to speak about also, just because I've never really spoken on it, but his connection with and this is not the thing, but his connection with Chris Lighty and his deep rooted music industry connections and respect, really served him and really helped to catapult him and give him momentum, and we You got that familiar face in the DJ booth. Yeah. Everyone comes up, and at the events they start. Yeah. So he's someone who's a reference point for so many people's youth.
Yeah.
People who now are executives, and I'm talking about 15 years ago they were already executives. Yeah. So they're like, yo, it's like if for us it's like, I don't know, like a little bit after him, Q-Tip. It's like Q-Tip comes to you and it's like, yo, you're like, fuck, I'm gonna hire Q-Tip because I love Tribe Called Quest, or like it's that
we've seen it with like Snoop,
right?
You know what I'm saying? And like Swiss,
exactly.
And JD, even JD,
and JD too. Exactly. It's exactly that.
Do you think D Nice was one of the first to infiltrate that whole?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think that's a good point. Yeah, I never thought about it like that. Yeah,
but he was one of the first kind of hip hop legends, rappers.
Probably
Biz. So like Q-Tip was actually one of the first.
Was D Nice?
Q-Tip was doing it already. Q-Tip was doing it already too. I think the thing that's tricky about D is like D was always a DJ. So like he was DJ for BDP / co-producer of key records.
Q-Tip was before D Nice.
D Nice was because he was already doing
stuff with Mark. Exactly.
Yeah. But this is pre Questloves and Snoops and
What about Biz? When did he start?
Oh well,
Biz was always
he was always kind of DJing. Yeah. And so
he's an amazing DJ actually.
Yeah.
I've never heard him. Actually,
yeah.
I mean,
there's a crazy story about Biz. I don't know if it's still true, but years ago, I remember my brother telling me he owned two identical houses in Atlanta, right next door to each other, identical. One with all his records and one that he lived in.
Wow.
Yeah. That's a fucking flex.
That's a flex. That's a flex. Right? Like, I'm going next door and see the neighbors. Oh, that's me. So, but yeah, like to your point about D Nice was, you felt that like you saw I saw him. He literally, I feel like he was like, he asked me like, why are you so dressed up? Like, why are you wearing this? And I was like, I just feel like if the customers and the club clientele is looking like this, I should be a reflection of that. Why should you look in the DJ booth and I'm not a consistent representation of the branding of the club?
Yeah.
That was my mentality. Like, that goes way back to your original point, which was your original question, which was like, I was like, how do I make myself a piece that fits into this puzzle, this like, this business, tapestry. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do I blend in and become part of the fabric of this? And so to me, I was like, I need to reflect that so that I think the owners and the clientele will appreciate that if I add that little bit of signature. And so people were coming, DJs were coming to me, people were coming to me, even customers. Why are you so kind of like, wow, you're so dressed up. Mm-hmm. People were also coming to me saying like other DJs. I don't know if Ben was one of them. He might have been. I don't think he actually said this because he's a music guy as well. But there were DJs who were definitely like, what are these records? What is this Nirvana? Like, what is this? This I don't even know. Like Blind Melon, and like they were like, what are these songs?
Well, do you think going to Wesleyan helped because it was so diverse, right?
Dude, this takes it back to the essence of what I was like.
When you were doing college parties, it was like it was a mix of hip hop, and then all of a sudden, and that's what I kind of thought was that you were taking that. All the parties you did at Wesleyan, and those kids were starting to go out, and then they started coming to see you.
Yes, that was a huge portion of it. That was a huge, because okay, the thing is, like, it really comes back to, you said, man, this like salesman, like, where did you get this kind of salesman sort of edge or like side personality, dimension of your brand and stuff, and the truth is. The real truth is, as a black kid going to private school and going to schools where I was a major minority,
right?
And I was trying to fit in, and so I was figuring out how do I socially kind of pitch myself to my social group in a way where I'll get accepted. So it goes back to like, sort of like just. Trying to figure, I didn't want these kids to know who had all the money in the world.
Right.
Penthouses, country houses, chauffeurs, drivers, shit I'd only seen on Different Strokes. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm like coming from, Harlem. Rats in the kitchen, cockroaches in the cereal box, facts. Like literally, that's what my reality was. And I'm like, how do I pass for one of these kids? Mm-hmm. So how do I package myself so they don't look at me and think he's different from the rest of us? Mm-hmm. And not even that. And then I'm a Leo, so I was like, I don't even just want to be like one of the guys. I want to be the fucking man. Yeah. I want to be the most popular kid in school. Mm-hmm. So I want to be the captain of every team, et cetera, et cetera. So I was pitching me from age 6, 7, 8, 9, you know what I mean? So it was just an extension of that for me, truthfully. And then the image of somebody like Sean Combs, Puff Daddy, really just solidified it for me. It was like, that's the guy. Mm-hmm. That's who I want to be.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because he's business, he's swag, he's black culture, he's excellence.
But he's infiltrating these white markets that were never open to hip hop and like
100%. So that was like one of the first people that I could look to and be like,
well, that's kind of how we saw you though in the beginning, because we were like, he's really infiltrating these corporate events, and like everyone is really like helping you, like helping I believe in this kid reach.
And I'll say, guys, and I'm not the only person that's done this. I've seen a lot of people invest in themselves along the way. Some people kind of do it quietly. Some people do it like, kind of more transparently. But I learned early on that I was going to take the money that I was making and I was going to reinvest it into my brand. I was going to buy a billboard. I was going to have merch. At one point, I ran into somebody the other day. They were like, yo, Reach, every girl in Equinox. I don't even know if it was Equinox. It might have been Crunch back then.
Crunch.
They were like, every girl, every model that had come from the club, and it was exaggeration, but like a lot of them, they had been at Marquee. They had been at Butter. They had been at Lot 61. I gave them merch. I gave them, I started with Fruit of the Loom, and then I went to American Apparel. I was dropping $20 a t-shirt. Giving them away. Bags of them. I was flying to even Live. When Live opened, they offered me a residency Fridays once a month. I flew out there with boxes of shirts that said like Rihanna and T.I. Live Your Life, L-I-V Your Life, and DJ Reach on the front. I was so deep in the merch game. I was shorts, I was hoodies, I was everything. I'm not gonna say any names. Club owners were coming to me like, yo, I banged this chick last night. She had your shit on. High five. I won't say any names, but you know what I mean. And so,
nah, say the name. Say the name.
Nah. I might still get checks from them. That's all I'm gonna say.
We'll bleep it out.
Like you said, you're still doing it like unapologetically and in your own way. That's what I got from like opening for you and just learning from you.
It's important. What's important is that from the early stages, from high school going into college,
yes,
he was aware of what, I guess, if you want to say what the white America or what the like maybe the
masses
like,
or
what they would look, and you were kind of like,
I literally was tailoring my brand to be like not just digested but to be.
You understood their market, and you're like, I can bring, and hip hop was emerging, and you're like, I know how to deliver this product to you guys the best way that's relatable to you guys, but and still my style.
100%. And one of the things when you guys called me and said, hey, you know, we're coming to New York, you know, would you like to be on the show? I was thinking about like, what can I share with DJs that I think might be helpful to them? And a couple little things just crossed my mind. And, you know, one of them is like, you know, because we all, especially when you guys having a platform like this, all the experience that you have, you guys are, you know, tons of people are looking up to you guys. So we're all in a position where other people look, how can I get to where you're at or get to like launch myself?
I don't know if they're looking up to us, but they're definitely.
Come on, they are, man.
Like, listen, we only get like 200 listens. We're small.
There's people who using like ghost accounts. They don't want to admit that they're like, yo, you go to the YouTube page, but don't go from your home page. Like, you know,
we don't want them to track us.
There's some haters out there.
Oh man.
Yeah, we had a YouTube comment thought that I was white, and I was like, okay, yeah, sure. Yeah.
They tried to whitewash you on YouTube. They gave you the MAGA hat. Hold on.
The whole thing. I was like, I looked straight from the other side of the board. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yo, you know, so like I just, you know, when I think back to some of the factors that it takes to make it, DJing is just my case study. But you have to be willing to sacrifice everything. Because I've been working recently, helping out a rapper in his career, and I started an agency a couple of years ago, and I've literally booked over 100 DJs and given them work and checks and so, you know, and try to make some things happen for other people. So I've been sorry, you wanna?
No, go ahead.
No, so I was just gonna say, so like I really, you know, going into that, and what led me to that, you know, wanting to start an agency and wanting to work with DJs and kind of like find a new chapter to my career, was that, like, you know, I felt like I had a lot to offer, and I felt like there were times my old partners, one of the reasons why we split up was that, you know, one of them, my partner Jed, was like, yo, we should start an agency. We should manage. You know, tons of people were coming to me saying like, yo, man, you're on fire. Like, can you take me under your wing? Yeah. MOS, a lot of people, I'm not going to name some names, but a lot of people were like, yo, like, you know, when I broke out, they were like, yo, like, can I come along? Can I be your understudy or this or that? You know, like your backup, whatever. And I was like, I throw some gigs around, you know, like, I don't know if Rockticon has ever said it, but my boys went to ASU in Arizona, and they owned a couple clubs, and they were promoters, and they flew me out because they were my friends from New York, and they were like, yo, come do, you're killing it in New York, come do these parties. So I did their parties there, and then I started to, I think, get my Vegas contract, and they were giving me dates that I couldn't do. So I was like, yo, man, they're like, yo, who can you send us? I had to cancel on them one time. Right. They're like, who can you send us, man? Come on. I was like, yo, you're going to love this kid. This is this kid, Rockticon. You're going to love him. And they're like, yo, man, we don't know, man. What are you talking about? I was like, no, trust me. So they hired him, loved him. He bodied it, crushed it. And I think that was, they gave him another residency in addition to my residency. And I think that was how he made some of his relationships with some of the West Coast guys. And I'm pretty sure he was the one who initially introduced me to Vice and Sujit. And I think, you know, part of him being in Scottsdale led to him getting some LA and some other gigs in the West Coast. I'm pretty sure,
right?
And maybe kind of even put him on the radar.
I mean, the DJ management shit at that time, and this was probably like 2005 or so.
Yeah,
it was still pretty like early. It wasn't like I think there was maybe just DGI in New York.
Sure,
and DGI represented pretty much like Mark Ronson, Cassidy,
Beverly Bond,
amazing female DJ, and then there was
Samantha Ronson,
and then there was the emerging like scam artist, which was Abe Froman Showman, and then it became Scam, and then they were kind of recruiting East Coast motherfuckers. So then
shout out to Cobra.
So you signed with Scam, and it was through Rock, right? Like the co-sign or something.
I'm pretty sure Rock the Con was the one who was like, "Yo, you gotta meet Vice." I don't even know if he was like, "You gotta meet Suja." I think it was just DJ to DJ.
Yeah.
He was like, "Yo, you gotta meet Vice. He's mad cool. It's a homie from LA." I was like, "Word, okay, cool." And also, I was seeing AM so much because he was starting to get booked in New York so much that there were times when Vice was coming with AM. I'm pretty sure 1 or 2 occasions, and then there were times when AM couldn't do the gig, so they booked. So he was like, "Book my guy Vice," and so. By default, I'd see AM, and by default, I'd see Vice, and we just started to just yo, oh shit, hey, oh, you're in this room, I'm in that room, or you're on, and then I'm like, so it was like that, and
because New York didn't really bring West Coast or LA DJs in, and it was like the beginning of that. We started seeing Vice come in, AM, and it was like some really big thing. Like it was a big occasion to see a West Coast dude in there.
Respect to the legendary promoter Bill Spector.
Definitely.
Single-handedly the guy who brought DJ AM to gigs in New York. Single-handedly.
I think
that is not even disputable.
I could be wrong, but one of the big buzzes was Stone Rock at Lotus.
Yes.
And then that was a big buzz. I remember all the DJs were like, "Yo, we got to go to this shit."
Yes.
Like, remember that, right?
Yo.
But that was one of the first when we were like,
yes,
yo, like let's listen to this West Coast.
How did that buzz go about Stone Rock?
We were just like, yo, supposedly they're bringing in like this Cali dude to Lotus, and we were like, yo, Stone Rock, like for real. And then we were like talking about it,
right?
And it just became like this buzz of like, yo, let's see how this dude is doing because he's gonna be at Lotus,
right? Yeah. Which was to put it in perspective, Marquee before Marquee.
I mean,
Lotus was the club.
Lotus didn't have any bad DJs in there.
Nah.
So like
Goldfinger Sundays. I'd play some Sundays. MLS came up on some Sundays. Eric LaPoe bodying it.
Stretch Armstrong.
Stretch. I mean, Soul Wednesdays with me, and you'd play, and
that's a fucking line.
Yo, it was. Every now and then they get Mark in there.
I came in like the tail end of like Lotus, like the last maybe 3 or so years when they were like popping.
Yo,
but Lotus was like it was like an epic spot, man.
Lotus was literally like it was the like it was that spot. It was
probably the new Centrafly, right?
Sure,
yeah,
bigger than that.
So like, I think. Centrafly was like Mark Ronson.
Yep.
Like
and Q-Tip, they had a residency together.
Yeah. I mean, that was like kind of and then Centrafly closed, and then Lotus just became like the new Centrafly.
Yes,
kind of,
yes.
And Centrafly was like the new Spa, kind of, right?
Yes,
it was. Right after Spa. Yeah.
Yep. And like shout out to Eric LaPoe, who was so dope. I remember he didn't own turntables. But he was playing at Spa. I think it was Tuesday nights. It was a hot night when Ronson was the resident.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He would come through, and Mark wasn't that strong on the reggae set.
Yeah.
So he would just come through and play the reggae set.
They used to
twice.
do that at Rebar.
Yes.
He used to be his reggae DJ at Rebar. Yeah. Right.
He would body it on the reggae set. Mm-hmm. Did not own turntables. Came through with a bag of records. Bodied it.
Came with 45s.
45s at that, and was like super low key. Like,
all right, so
super low key.
Did you tell me a story that you helped him put together a hip hop set?
No.
Eric LaPoe?
Nah.
I mean, listen, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody did.
Someone told me they helped him put together a hip hop set. It could have been Ted the Dillinger.
Maybe. Yeah, that sounds about right. They were in some spots together.
So I think Ted the Dillinger would tell me stories about Eric LaPoe because Eric LaPoe, when I was coming up, was like one of the illest DJs. Like he was like the understudy of like Mark Ronson, and he was just like taking over from where Mark Ronson left off.
Exactly.
And I would listen. I would stay from like 11 to close listening to Eric LaPoe, and I'd be like, "Yo, this dude's fucking insane."
100%.
The smoothest mixes.
Smoothest.
Yeah.
To this, that's we took the words out of my mouth. That's what I was gonna say. His programming is just flawless.
Yeah.
Flawless.
Mixing
smooth
was like perfect.
Blends, perfect. His timing. He even has like a way about like how he like kind of like touches the vinyl. Like he almost like, you know how like I don't know if you guys know that like Rich Medina doesn't touch the vinyl. Like he doesn't touch the top of the record. He only like, he's such a collector and like a purist that he like,
he doesn't want his fingerprints.
He doesn't want his like fingerprints on the vinyl. It's like, but Eric LaPoe just has this like smooth like way about his like mannerisms and how he's like bringing in the record, and it's just like you're bow. You're like, oh, what?
Ted Dillinger said that like Eric LaPoe was like the go-to reggae dude.
100%.
But
100%.
And I want to say this is Eric LaPoe and this is Ted Dillinger, the story, but he would talk about Eric LaPoe that he would bring in these 45s of like these reggae 45s on a paper towel dispenser.
Oh my God.
So he'd have a paper towel dispenser with all these 45s on it, and he would just bring that to the club.
That's crazy.
And I think he then he went to Ted the Dillinger, was like, "Yo, I gotta fill in for Mark Ronson, and I don't know how I can do it." And then he's like, "Well, like I'm gonna show you how you can do some of these like here's some hip hop, here's some like I'll show you some hip hop shit."
I believe it.
For some reason, I thought it was you.
It was. I forget. I remember he did fill in for Mark one night.
Yeah.
He was like, "Yo, can you come to the club with me? Whatever, hang out, whatever." This is like my first time, like kind of headlining.
Yeah.
And I was like,
"So it was you? It was you then?"
But I ain't tell him what to play though. I ain't giving him his selection.
Yeah.
But I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Yo, I'm kind of nervous. This and that. You should come hang out." And I'm like, "Yo, bet. Let's do it." Shit. And it was at 2 Eyes.
Remember 2 Eyes, of course, yeah.
I gotta remember, who was telling me about the paper towel dispenser.
Yeah, if you listen to this and you were the person with that story, at us, shout them out, like, you know what I'm saying?
Because I was so shocked because I was like, that dude for real, like he just did reggae, and then it was just
like a hired assassin who just comes in and like bodies shit and just walks out like, yeah, I just killed shit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I just came in with like just the like
the sniper
and like, all right, now y'all go back to the war again. All right, I'm out. To touch on what you were saying about and to Eric's credit, Eric was also modeling. Eric was doing his thing. He was
shit for Tommy Hilfiger. Right?
Hilfiger. He was popping, and I always thought that he was somebody who should he would be a much bigger DJ, much more established, like larger, big ticket DJ right now if he had management. And I always felt like
not only that, he also moved to Miami, right, for a minute.
But I think part of that was because I don't know. I mean, listen, I don't know. I think like. I think he has a low key personality. He's real chill, and I think
he needed a buffer. He needed someone like fighting for his corner,
100%,
and with his better interests and everything.
Yes, because he like in that small handful of DJs in the pool, he was definitely in the upper echelon of talents. Like there's no question his programming, his music can hang with anybody, and he could body it along with anybody. And I just felt like I always remember thinking like, man, like if this guy just had a little more support, he should be on those flights every week. He should be getting those big zeros and all that other stuff, because the music was there. You know what I mean? And once you spoke to him and got to know him, this guy's like awesome. So I want to say something about just to touch back a little bit, like there's like there are reasons to the success. There are reasons. Like I was talking to some DJs and I was talking to a rapper I was working with, and I was like like you have to want it as bad as Kobe Bryant wanted it. You have to want it as bad as Jordan wanted it. Jordan, there's that story about like he saw some kids playing in the park near his crib that he used to shoot at, and he took their ball. Little kids.
And did what?
He took it so they couldn't play, so they couldn't get better than him.
Oh shit!
Straight up, Michael Jordan was like, "Nah, I took their ball because they're gonna keep practicing, and they one day could get better than me." And I want it back. I want it more than they want.
Wait, as an adult or as a kid?
He was an older teenager.
Oh my god!
And he was like, "Fuck that." Taking that. That's fucked up.
Yo, Reach.
That's completely fucked up.
I don't know if that's a good message.
No, I'm not telling you. Hold on, wait. I'm not. I don't mean to promote that. Like, yo, go like burn some kids like computer
turntables.
I don't mean that. But I'm just saying, like,
yo, like those kids might DJ better than me. I'm gonna beat the shit out of them and break their hands.
Jesus Christ. No, that's not what I'm saying.
Fucking Michael Jordan was super foul.
I'm gonna take their needles and not give it to them.
No, but I also heard Jordan used to have like crazy like if you missed it, like Bill Paxton or whatever.
John Paxton.
John Paxton. If you were like those other out supporting role players, BJ Armstrong, and you miss big shots, yo, you were going to get the shit like kicked out of you verbally and like practice wise. You were gonna get it. Like he was like, yo, come ready.
He took you out of the Christmas list.
He would like, yo, like you. There were penalties to you not, doing your job and playing your role.
Right.
But like, listen, like I remember going out and as we all do, I'm sure. I remember literally going out every night. The same kid who had that business card had a fucking pen and a piece of paper, a pad, and I was going out and I was watching the DJs. I was D-Nice. I was watching DJs, not just D-Nice. I'm not putting that label on D. But
we all did that. We all did that.
Like I was fucking writing the songs down. I was, we were pre-Shazam. I was like looking at the reaction of like, I was looking so closely that I was like, I'm not going to play that because you played that and it didn't hit. But I'm going to play that, and that.
But don't you think it's interesting that everyone had a style, even though we were so close?
Yeah.
Big Ben had a style.
Yes.
Annie Quinn had a style.
Yes.
Eli Escobar had a style. Rock the Con had a style. I had my own style.
Yes.
Everyone had a style, but no one was really sounding
the
same. I mean, we might play some of the same records or whatever, but I mean, everyone was very much like they had their own shit. You know what I mean?
Totally. I feel like in our era, and I'm not saying that the kids don't do it now because they do. They're all up on SoundCloud and they're all up on YouTube and they're all up on some of the resources that they have now for discovery. But like research is such a key component of the success of us as DJs. And I remember a DJ asking me from the agency or something like that, or a younger DJ like looking to get on and asking, can I open or this and that? And they were asking me, one of the questions they asked was like, what's what's one of the key elements to, a DJ being successful? And it's preparation. It is fucking preparation. The guy who is the most prepared is like anything else in life. If you are prepared for the opportunity when it comes, you have a chance to succeed. If I have done the research on the 80s crates or the house, the EDM or the electro or the trap if I've done that research and I'm fucking prepared, when that moment comes in, we're fucking whoever
some celebrity,
somebody
or
comes in the room, I can seize that moment. Yeah. Because I'm prepared. If I'm prepared, if I prepared myself for somebody to say, yo, you got to do a shout out. Yo, here's a microphone. Sorry. You know what I mean? If I prepared myself and my show and my preparation for this craft is that I'm going to have that element in my tool bag, in my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
When I came to Vegas, Vice didn't have that element in his tool bag, but he's such a dedicated and such a focused and hungry artist that he said, I'm going to listen to Reach, I'm going to listen to this other guy, I'm going to listen to somebody else, and I'm going to push myself into the fucking ocean, and I'm going to figure it out. And props to Vice, props to everybody else who's found some part of this journey and the challenges that come in front of us and met them head on and said, yo, you know what? Like, oh shit, we got to start doing marketing now. Now we got to start having a Instagram presence. Because I was against that change when it came to Serato.
Yeah.
I was a dinosaur. I was like, yo, chill.
Let's keep it real.
I'm gonna put my fucking contract in jeopardy over me wanting to have a narrow mind or wanting to not go outside of my comfort zone. I had to change that.
Yeah.
If you're not busy, there's a Bob Dylan quote. If you're not busy getting born, then you're if you're not busy getting born, then you're busy getting dying, and something like that. It's like if you're not constantly evolving, then you're on your way towards decline. If you're not growing, then you're essentially kind of like
just falling.
You can stay in the same place, and everybody else could go forward while you left behind.
Exactly.
So Reach, did you buy like the new phases yet?
Nah, but I peeped them. I peeped them. See, now my judgment or something like that is, I think it's cool, but is it necessary for my goal?
But you're on CDJs now, right?
Yes, I'm on CDJs.
And then
yes.
are you on Serato DJ Pro or still Scratch?
I just downloaded the Serato DJ Pro like literally 3 weeks ago because I got to a gig and they were like, you have to use this. And so I was like, fuck. And I downloaded it. That's the thing. Like, yeah, like I think there's always going to be things that are a challenge for you too. There are always going to be things that, come easier than other things. Like for me, maybe the politicking side of things comes easy. Like, yo, yeah, you know what? Put me in the room. I'll work the room. Mm-hmm. And I'll that was something that I realized kind of early too was the popularity contest and how important that is to your success. And when I look at my Vegas experience, when I was there on a regular basis, one of the things I took like some of the personality things or some of the things that kind of got me to that place, like, yo, partying with people, drinking with them, shaking hands and kissing babies, being a mayor, and I leaned so hard on some of those things that I didn't I neglected other aspects of my brand, and I neglected other aspects of what I needed to be bringing to the table.
What would that be?
For me, I was partying and I would bring 20 girls to the club, or I'd try to bring a birthday or sell some tables, and I'm like, yo, if I sell these tables, then the owners are gonna feel they're gonna appreciate that, because that's what works back in New York. Mm-hmm. If I bring 20, 30, 40 this and this and that, I'm at dinner with 10 people in the restaurant, boom, they're gonna walk by, they're gonna see me with mad people, like, yeah, okay, there he is, he's supporting. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. But you know what I didn't do? I didn't immerse myself into the Vegas community. And I watched Vice and Sujit do that. Mm-hmm. And I didn't do that. I got on the first flight out on Sunday morning, hungover, and got the fuck out of there. Because if I stayed any longer, I was going to be in the hospital.
We were talking, we were talking about you were one of the few dudes, and I don't know how many years you were doing this.
Yeah.
But you were flying out to Vegas every week.
Weekly.
And
5 years.
5 years.
Weekly. I like, to the point where JetBlue changed their frequent flyer policy for because of people like me. I was getting a free ticket to anywhere JetBlue flies every other week.
Wow.
So I had so many free tickets. I was flying people out with me.
You want to go to Vegas?
Yeah. I was flying people out with me all the time because I was just racking up all these free flights, and And that's the thing, is like, I looked at it also like there were things there were misconceptions I had, and working with artists now on the other side of the table from a management perspective, I now see some of the things that I was doing that were working against my career. Like, there were times when I'd be like, I was being difficult to manage as an artist. There were times when I was thinking like, well, listen, I'm just kind of gonna go in and like fuck shit up and make my presence felt, and then like go and then bounce and that's my contribution. Versus like, and it was versus kind of really, because what put me in that position to get some of those residencies early on was really approaching this craft as a business and saying, what are the What are the?
So basically, you're saying like you should have, like when you were coming out to Vegas, you should have stayed there an extra couple days.
Yes,
you should have mixed it up with some of the other Vegas people.
Yes,
the local promoters,
100%, 100%. I should have hung out. I should have said this opportunity is so big that I'm going to stay an extra night. I'm going to stay an extra night or two. Maybe I'll get a place out here. I'm going to go to that after hours and shake hands. I'm going to go during the daytime. I'm going to make sure I know the names of the staff members. The way I did in New York, I knew to this day, busboys dap me up that I worked with 20 years ago.
Right.
You know what I mean? Doorman, I walk in a place it's a new place that opens, and I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I don't know anybody there. And a security guy's like, yo, man, I remember when you had the Range Rover in 2003 and you was a DJ and I never seen a DJ with a Range Rover. Yo, you killed it back then. I'm like, I know you? Like, you know what I mean? But like, you know what I mean? Like, I made sure that I made an impression. To this day now, I'm back to, I just played in Chicago. Before I left the club, I shook every person's hand in the room before I left.
Yo,
Real talk.
I'm not gonna lie. He used to do Playhouse in L.A. and he always like, yo, come up here, come hang out, and he's rocking the fucking shit with the fucking towel. But he made me feel like I was his boy. I'm sure I wasn't his boy, but he made me feel mad.
Did you remember him?
The funny thing is, I remember your face, and I'm like, yo, I know him, like, and I don't remember when we hung, but now you put it up, like that was like, I don't know, I just think. Go ahead, like you were gonna say, like
you were just like rocking the shit, but you made everybody in that booth like feel mad special. Like we were boys for 20 years. I was like, yo, I'm just hanging out with Reach, and he's rocking the shit. I'm like doing the research of like the way you would work that fucking room, and I'm like, man, this guy is mad dope. And I mean, now they call you the mayor. And I mean, it makes fucking sense.
Yeah, and
but Reach, you don't have to pretend like you remember his face.
No, literally,
not fake the fun.
Nah, real talk, like I never forget a face.
Your face.
Nah, literally, like I never forget a face. No joke. Like I would not be able to place it. I would never been able to say play out.
Yo, you don't remember this motherfucker. You don't remember.
Stop being nice. Different?
You don't remember this motherfucker.
You didn't have the glasses.
No, I'm just saying.
He was skinnier.
I was about 40 pounds lighter.
That's okay. I was too. That's all right.
He still rocked the blazer at that time, by the way.
I did. Right. Yo, them blazers were fucking hot, man. I'm telling you, I was sweating. I was dying.
At what point did you hang up all the blazers?
I started to realize like it kind of ran its course.
Yeah.
And there were times when I just felt like, okay, because there was like a line between like, I've always felt that, and I noticed about DJ Cassidy as well. And I think he got this probably from his dad, who's a legendary concert promoter.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know that.
Yeah.
But I think, and he's never said this, but this is what I assume is the mentality behind his approach to his look. There's one sort of a perspective that is a superstar has a look, and it's a look that when you see them, you associate that look with them. You're like, oh, that's the guy that's the Run DMC guys who wear the Adidas and the top hats. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Or that's the rocker who wears the fucking, I don't know, the super skinny jean, like whoever the first, like whoever coined it and really owned it.
It becomes a uniform almost.
Exactly.
Like a personality uniform. So like when you, like for example, Flavor Flav with the clock around his neck.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And it's just these iconic figures like, when you look at like Bart Simpson is always wearing the same fucking thing. And not saying that you have to always wear the same thing.
Black Bart or regular Bart?
I mean,
Black Bart was...
But it's just having a consistent look. And in fashion, we call it like, when you're a designer, you don't want to be trendy. You want to be kind of like timeless.
Yes.
You want to be timeless. So you want to create a uniform for yourself. Mm-hmm. And it could be adapting like, like for me, at one point when I was DJing and I was like, and I had my clothing brand and you had a clothing brand, Orchard Street OS. I was a big fan.
It was really my oh sorry. It was really
your homie, right?
It was really two of my best friends.
Yeah.
And they were like, yo, you're the guy who's out there. Like, this is yours too.
Yeah.
Give this to everyone.
Yeah.
Like, give this to whoever.
I want to talk about that. But back to the uniform, I was trying to figure out how I wanted to look, and I just said, look, I love wearing black. So I'm just gonna wear all black and white sneakers, and that just became like my uniform, my look, and I would just always wear all black and white sneakers, and it just became like an identity.
Yes.
So like it's just a uniform that you kind of put together for yourself, and you can keep updating it through the times.
Yeah.
Because black is timeless.
Sure.
And white sneakers are timeless. So like for me, that was just kind of my uniform.
Yeah.
But back to Orchard Street because
which was crazy.
Reach got us into we had Orchard Street at New.
Yes.
Cause I spoke to you. Yeah.
Wow.
You hooked it up.
Yes. And you know what's crazy is my shout out to my brothers Greg Bennett and my brother Ben Holloway. They were the founders and they were like the creative and business everything behind the company. I was a friend who was just the poster boy. You know what I mean? And I was just like family on that level.
They had that one T-shirt that blew the fuck up with Jay-Z wore the yellow Orchard Street T-shirt.
Yeah, Pimp Accordingly.
With Pimp Accordingly, and it was in the front end video with Pharrell.
Yeah.
So the story of that is,
how did you get him on that with that T-shirt on him?
So
because Mel DeBarge, shout out to Mel DeBarge,
he's a gearhead. He's a clothing like.
He actually put me on to Orchard Street.
Yeah,
and he actually put me on to a lot of like sneak. At the time, Dunks were like the shit, right?
Yeah.
So he put me on to a lot of that shit.
Mel's closet and Mel's. When you have a Mel interview, please talk about his fashion because his closet. I've never personally seen it, but I just know from speaking to him. He's also in that group text.
Yeah,
I got to throw y'all in that group text, rap chat. His closet is insane. His sneaker game, and he was like a low head back in the 90s.
Yeah.
Dealing low, wearing low, collecting
really?
low. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
So he knew some of my homies from back then from Canal Street who used to hustle low back then. And we started talking names. And me and him in this, like, we were just texting. And he was like, yo, you know my man Fong? I'm like, yeah, you know what? That's my home. Like, and just talking about just, spots where, remember when they used to be, when the suicide dropped and crazy shit, but like
so
man.
Back to how'd you get that shirt on Jay-Z?
So one of the homies' girlfriend was June Ambrose, who's Jay-Z's longtime stylist.
Yeah,
she was his assistant. She was her assistant, and she was working for June and June was like, I need some streetwear.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, I'll go out and find some new brands. And she knew the homies, and she was like, yo, you guys have a clothing company, right? Like,
and they just connected it and just got some tees there.
And my boy, who's one of the founders, that was his wifey. One of the founders of Orchard Street, Greg, that was his wifey at the time. And she was like, baby, I'm gonna make this shit happen.
Right.
And so she like brought it in and like, put it in the dressing room, was like, and June was like, oh, I love that. And like, that, and what they did was, that shirt, once he wore that, they had an opportunity. They were like, either we blow it out and this is the shirt that just sells, we just lead with this shirt to accounts and we go like, we have the shirt that Jay wore in the video, or we make it into, you can never get this shirt.
Right.
And so they went the direction of like, no one's ever getting this shirt.
Yeah.
So people were just like, yo, but what's crazy about them is they had a great run. They were pre-hundreds, pre-10 deep.
Well, it was the emergence of quote unquote streetwear.
Emergence of street. If you ask, Virgil just hit my boy Greg because he's still involved in fashion. He works at Bravado, which does all the merchandise for a lot of
concert merch. They do like a lot of concert merch and like
almost. They're owned by Universal Music Group, and they are like the built-in merch company for Universal Music Group.
They work for J. Cole and Dreamville. They do they do the production, and they just make sure like it's a big it's a logistical nightmare to get concert merch to the arenas in different cities and like you sell out of shit and you need to go into production and restock.
Right.
And I think Bravado handles all the logistics of like, yo, these are the designs, these are the tour dates. We're gonna make sure there's enough stock so you guys can keep selling throughout all the tour dates. Yeah. Because when I used to help Dreamville with that shit, it was a nightmare. Like,
Like, how do you even know product levels going from one city
well, it's not
to the
only
next
that. It's
city?
just like
And-
knowing, like no one was keeping track of inventory,
Right.
and then like
Sales.
and then we got North Carolina, and we have to like, and they're like
Ramp
we
it
need
up, 'cause-
we need 2,000 tees by this Thursday. It'll be like Monday, and I'm
What?
like, fuck, and I'd have to like get that over there.
Yo, one time, remember I had to fly out to New York with 3 boxes of merch for the J. Cole show.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's commitment, buddy.
Yeah.
That we got to New York. That's the night of the show. Just in time.
Like
Yeah.
just in time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yo, that's crazy. Yeah, so that like for like, that's a
what
business.
Bravado do. Yeah,
That's a
Bravado
business.
does that.
So one of my boys is the CEO of Bravado, and then the other my other boy Greg from Orchard Street is the like one of the head designers, I believe, or something like that. But on another business note, he's actually I can't say that. My old business partner Jed, who was my promoting partner, and who gave me that he went on with another friend of mine. We all, except for Jed, me and the CEO kid and the Orchard Street kids, we all wrote graffiti together.
Yeah.
And so I introduced, or in my little social circle, my former partner Jed became friends with another kid I used to write graffiti with. His name is John McFeeters, and they went on to open up Stadium Goods, which just got acquired by Farfetch for $250 million.
Yeah.
So
what?
So they're chilling. The two homies. Shout out to them.
I just recently, I think in the past year and a half or 2 years, I didn't know that Jed was behind Stadium Goods.
Yeah.
And then when I put 2 and 2 together, I'm like, makes sense. You know what I mean?
Dude, that
and he's low key. He's like low key dude. So like but like he's
I think I saw a picture with Miss Info because Miss
so
Info.
so his business partner John, his wife is Miss Info.
Yeah. So like Miss Info is married to the other partner, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I saw Jed in the picture. I was like, what the fuck is it? And I was like tying it in. I was like, oh shit, Jed's behind Stadium Goods too?
Yeah, and he used to be an investor in Greenhouse Nightclub, like the last chapter of Greenhouse before.
Were you at Greenhouse too?
Yeah, I was at Greenhouse. I was not a partner in there, but I was like, I was one of the DJs there, and Greenhouse and Whip.
We were just talking. We just had Big Ben here. We were just talking about Greenhouse days and shit.
Yeah, yo, listen, man, Greenhouse. There's some club owners in like some like New York. A portion of like the little more bougie scene that's like, Greenhouse was hip hop, whatever. Like, looks a little down on it, like some of the hip hop spots, urban spots get looked down on. But Greenhouse actually had like a really nice run. First, they did well financially, and they would literally have Drake, J. Cole, Trey Songz,
Chris Brown,
all the Knicks like in the room in this tiny little spot. You know what I mean? And then they started a second club in the basement. They just took basement space and made it into a club called Whip.
Yeah.
And that's where the legendary, not legendary, but the big fight between
Chris
and Drake happened, and that really was the undoing of the club. But to the credit of those guys, it was about to be like a kind of a groundbreaking spot for New York in that moment because
what years was that popping?
Wow, that
had to be
the bottle tossing happened 2013. I want to say.
That sounded about right. That sounded about right.
So I think it got closed like 2 years after.
So it was like one of the few hip hop.
with-
It was one of the few hip hop clubs in New York.
And Greenhouse had been open for a few years already at that point.
Yeah.
But Whip was like maybe like I don't know, probably like 2013.
Yeah.
Because everyone was pretty much predominantly going the EDM route, and Greenhouse was sticking with like
carrying
hip
the
hop.
torch.
Yeah.
And shout out to DJ Spade. Spade was a promoter there,
Mhm.
and he and that's where he kind of like earned his chops and stuff too. In terms of like, he realized like, wait a second, why am I gonna hustle as a promoter when the DJ's making like $500-600 just showing up and playing the music?
I want to talk to you about that because you have a promotional background, right?
Yeah.
And at some point, like, you came up with Alex and Jed.
Yes.
And I always saw those guys as the promoters, and you obviously promoted too as well. But
we separated it purposefully.
Yeah.
We wanted it to look like they were the promoters and I was the DJ.
Right.
Because the truth is, this is the truth. When I came out of school, I was like, I'm gonna DJ. I knew I was gonna DJ, and then when I got to the point where I really started doing business with clubs and promoters, I was like, they're not gonna pay a black DJ to spin and to promote. So these were my two friends who were coming to see me no matter what. And I said, guys, you're coming and hanging out, you know, you're in the booth, we're chilling, I'm getting you free drinks, we're all chilling, whatever, I'm trying to meet girls, whatever. I was like, why don't we turn this into a business?
Is it because they think if you're a black promoter, you're going to bring black people?
I just didn't think they would pay a black guy 2 checks. And fairly.
I think it's a
little
little bit of both.
I didn't think that they would, that it might have been that too. Yeah. I didn't think that they would pay me because I knew how many people we could bring from our college network.
Right.
And from our college network, and also me growing up in the city, like I knew mad people. So I was like, between my New York City network and then all the kids who came from our college from our year or the year before or the year after, they were all moving back from, you know, moving from Connecticut to New York was like an obvious 2-step. You know what I mean? So like, you know, we had such a presence, me and my man Jahi Sunnis had such a presence on campus that it was like, yo, like it's you're staying in your sort of like your party comfort zone to come to where we're at, like you mentioned, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, so I knew if we're gonna bring 50 people, they're not gonna pay me. They're gonna pay me $1 a head or $2 a head. They're not gonna pay me what all the other promoters are getting. So literally, before I made them my partner, the first thing I did, and Alex Cordova could vouch for this, was they're like, I made up a fake name, Mr. Wonderful from WWF. So I said, the promoter is Mr. Wonderful. And they're like, well, when do we, I swear to God, they were like, when do we get to meet him? And I was like, nah, he doesn't go out. He just has the people come, and like, I'm just the middleman for him. I swear to God. I swear to God. Ask Alex Cordova.
Reach. You're either a genius or you're fucking out of your mind.
I swear.
I'm gonna go with genius.
I swear. So I had a fake promoter, a guy who did not exist, and it was his list. I was like, yo, this is Mr. Wonderful's list. And they were like, all right. And they were like, I was like, and then it got to the point they were like, who is this guy? We want to meet him. We're not cutting any more checks for him until we meet him. And so I was like, what the fuck do I do? I was like, it's Alex and Jed. And then they were like, yo, all right, fuck it. Like, let's make some money. So then they got serious about it. Right. And then we were really like a unique, in that moment, we were really like a unique little kind of team, because we were the only team that had the DJ in the booth, Jed a guy at the door, Jed, and then a guy hosting the table, Alex. And we all were like fucking focused on our roles.
Right.
And so so that really made us come up quickly. We booked AM for one of his last, M2 was us. Some, you know, anybody who's been going out in New York in that moment, M2 Thursdays was like bananas. Like, you know, AM, we did $100,000 at the bar with AM. You know, we had, I mean, at one point, you know, we had 1 or 2 partners too, but at one point we had, you know, Trey Songz. We had like people were coming through. Like that was Greenhouse essentially before Greenhouse. Pink Elephant Wednesdays, we started that.
Yeah,
a lot of parties we started.
Didn't PM also bring you guys on?
So PM, we were in house on Fridays. When I got the contract in Vegas, Jakissa, DJ Kiss, was a waitress, and she kept coming to the booth and was like, yo, you DJs, I love the way you guys play. When I left to go to Vegas, I was like, I gotta find somebody to take my spot. I gave it to MOS. So he got the residency, and you know, they got closer, and now they're married and killing it, crushing it.
And that's actually how Kiss and MOS met and everything. Yeah,
exactly.
But yeah, PM back in the day was, you know, we talk about Serafina here in New York. Yeah, Serafina, you know, was, I mean, that party was legendary, and it was put together by Unique and Kiki, who were these Haitian brothers at the time, and they started promoting these parties, and they were really the face of like the fashion world. And having like all of these fashion models and putting on these amazing like parties. And Unique was like kind of the more outspoken like showman. He would get on the mic, and he'd have this thick
this is crazy DJ, play that sheet. He
had a thick ass Haitian accent. Stop the music, stop the music, DJ, play this. And he would like really push that Euro house. And he kind of, and I think that was the emergence of really house invading
like the mainstream models and bottles.
Because in the early 2000s, I mean, it was definitely like we had a little bit of like the mojo and like lady.
Playing it.
Yeah, music sounds better.
Yes.
We had like Follow
One
Me.
More time.
Yeah, yeah. We had all of
Dot
those.
funk a little bit.
I remember Jason Strauss hated that record. He would be like, anybody who plays that record is fired. Like, you're not getting paid that night.
That song was banned, right? One more time.
One more time you can play that.
And it was such a monster.
But wait a second. But yet you can play, what was the other one? They had the whole presentation for
Sandstorm,
which was like you're like, what the fuck?
So
no vocals,
but no one was playing that kind of that Euro house.
Yeah,
no one was bringing that Euro house, that kind of like and like that Bob Sinclair sound, and just like, and then that was the emergence of like, to me, I kind of credit Unique and Kiki for bringing that in PM, and kind of pushing that Euro Ibiza house and bringing it to like the actual Pangea kind of did it, but they never mixed it with the hip hop.
Right,
they
just kept it all house Pangea.
Right. Yeah, it was like house DJ.
I was doing open format at Pangea on Mondays with Was at the door, but that was like towards the like latter chapters.
I actually DJ'd the first hip hop party at Pangea.
Oh wow! Get out of here.
Yeah, it was.
Was it a one off?
I think it was Unique and Kiki. It was Wednesdays.
I believe it. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. But probably after Serafina closed, maybe they needed a spot.
Yeah, it was exactly like
before
that.
Before they got PM, probably something like that.
But yeah, so like PM was that club that was Unique and Kiki's first club, where they were the face of the club.
The crazy thing about that, and I'm glad that you mentioned that, is these are two Haitian guys who come from nothing. And their story is really a crazy story too, because people used to joke and say those guys used to hand out flyers on the beach in Miami for nothing, like to try to get their list going. And they went on to, sit with fashion royalty, nightlife royalty, celebrity royalty, and
like Usher,
they were crushing it.
Usher would come to the club. Like,
Diddy
would, everyone would come to the club. Yeah.
And give them dap. Like, if you look at Unique, like, the thing is also, there wasn't social media back then, which is crazy. Like, if there was social media in the early 2000s, man,
these guys would be legends. Yo.
Man,
I mean, they're still legends.
I have a few million in the stash right now. Not that I don't know. But IRS, you didn't hear that. So like that's the thing, is like those dudes really kind of came from nothing and built this thing, and they were like, they had one of the toughest doors, Aramis. Arguably the toughest door ever in New York. Arguably.
Was he tougher than
Yes.
I used to DJ at PM, and he wouldn't let me in on my off nights.
Was did the same thing to me and Marquee. Yeah. I came on a Wednesday, right? I think Rockticon was playing in the main room. They were like, "Yo, Rock, play the main room." And I came to see him, and I was like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" And I'm super respectful, just waiting for like other paying customers to go in and waiting for my turn. And I was like, "Hey, man," and he's like, "Yeah, hey, how you doing?" And I was like, "This boss is like," I'm like, "Hey, yeah, I'm DJ from Tuesdays and Thursdays." He's like, "It's not Tuesday or Thursday. It's Wednesday."
Shit.
And I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
I used to be scared of Watts. I was DJing. Remember Sweet 16?
Yeah, of course.
It was a Halloween party, and I had invited this girl I was talking to come hang out.
Yeah.
So she tried to get to the door, and she was like, Watts was like, "Nah, I'm not. I can't let you in." And she was like calling me. She's like, "Never. Can you come and get me?" And I'm just like, I can't. If Watts said no, that means no. You can't.
Because like, at the same time, you're trying to preserve your job.
Exactly.
You're like,
I'm lucky I'm here myself.
Right.
So
exactly.
I ain't trying to fuck shit up.
That was the feeling. You're like, yo, I really want to get laid, but I want to have this career
exactly,
too. Like,
man, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll see you tomorrow.
But I feel like it's like a way of the door guy checking you to be like, I respect the fact that you work here, but you gotta respect the fact that I got a job to do, dude.
True.
And then because I remember the first couple times with Aramis, he wouldn't let me in. I would come in and I'd be like standing outside, and I'd be like, "Yo, like," and when you kind of like, when you're a resident, you've been there like maybe the first 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
You're feeling yourself a little bit, like, yo, like. So I would walk up to the door, and he would literally like make me wait, and then I'd be like, "Yo, Aramis, I DJ here, right?" He's like, "Yeah, I know you DJ here." Damn.
He was just like stoned. And the crazy thing was, he lived in my neighborhood too in Harlem, and he was a preacher.
Get out of here.
He was a preacher. So this was his night job.
Oh
Wow.
And
I didn't
so,
know that.
yeah, which is crazy because I'd see him going to church. Not my church, but he going to his, and like, yo, it was like night and day. And he'd be so much nicer when I see him in the day. He'd be like, hey, how are you? How's your mom? Blah, blah, blah. And then at the club, it'd be like Terminator. Like,
Well, he had these sunglasses, man.
Yeah.
He had these sunglasses
Wrap around.
that covered. They were like the Kumo D sunglasses.
yes, yes.
And they would just cover like half of his face.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he used to like fuck with everyone that was on my guest list. He would fuck with them all the time.
I literally, I have two quick stories, not even quick stories, but I'll just say what happened. There were 2 occasions when I walked out of a club that I was DJing in the middle of the night while DJing at the height of the night. And in both cases, it was because they weren't letting my list in. And I was feeling myself.
Yeah.
And I was feeling myself. And, you know, at the time, I was like, yeah, I showed them, you know?
Yeah.
And I still, like, you know, some of my boys are like, yo, I can't believe you did that. Like, my one boy who used to drive me to the club every night, they wouldn't let him in. And the craziest thing, I think like statute of limitations, he beat the shit out of the manager who didn't let him in. Weeks later, he I don't even know. That guy, he put the guy in the hospital. It was really bad.
That's crazy.
So yeah, let Reach have a guest list. That's it. So like yeah, in one case I was doing this party and they at what was that spot? It was Greenhouse before Greenhouse.
What was before Green?
What the hell was it called? I forget, but like they wouldn't let my boy in, and I knew my value. I had the Mr. Wonderful list going. I was bringing more people. Oh wait, you know what I did to get my list? I used to pay a guy to stand by the bathroom and collect all the girls' emails.
Oh wow!
I used to pay a guy. He was a comedian. So he was mad funny. So you're waiting online and you have to go to the bathroom and he's telling jokes and he's like low key looks like he's a customer. And then he'd be like, yo, let me get your email. So I was getting I had like a 20,000 person email list back in like 2007. It was nuts. I was like bodying it. But yeah, so that was one time. The other time was they didn't want to pay me more money because the more people I had coming in, I was getting paid as a promoter. So they would cap me at a certain number. So I was following. I had a promoter who was hosting the table for me, and I was like, "Yo, let me know at what point they start saying that we don't have a list when people show up." And it was always like 20. They like capped me at 20, and like I walked out on the dude, and then they went on to be the owners of Catch. And so like, you know, we were cool, but like, you know, it kind of was not the most wisest thing for me to do because you never know what people are gonna go on and do after. So I didn't really get a lot of work from Catch and EMM groups, you know, and they ended up being like rivals with the Tao guys and those were my guys.
They ended up opening 10 June, which was like at the time arguably one of the best clubs.
10 June crushed.
Yeah.
Crushed. And you know, I don't know. I don't get into but there was like a lot of rivalry shit going on. You know, but
that was a weird time in New York, though.
I wanted to say something about what was it? I wanted to say something about about doormen, at least in New York. With this moment in nightlife where bottle service is kind of in the bottle service model is sort of it's going through transition.
Right.
It's going through clearly.
I wanted to talk to you about this because I'm hearing a lot of DJs, and I'm hearing a lot of them like, you know, they're going through a rough time in New York. It's not an easy time in New York.
New York is going through it.
Wow.
New York, it is not a great time to be a DJ in New York. I'll tell you that right now. It is, you know, there's major undercutting going on. The nightly pay is slashed in half, thirds, quarters.
Motherfuckers are doing a whole night from like 10:45 to close.
Yes.
At big clubs who are making good money.
Yes.
And they're doing it for like $400.
That's
sometimes
crazy, man. That's insane.
Less. There's time slots that DJs are doing that are prime time slots. I'm not gonna name any names for $250.
That's crazy.
$350, $300. And it's
how
insane.
did that happen?
Undercutting is one of the things. And, you know, once you're also just dealing with some very sophisticated operators.
Right. So
they're able to assess the true value, what they see as the true value, given it's like the scarcity model. Like, they can, when you know that there's 100 people in line to play a set that's not as good, but it's
good enough,
passable,
like serviceable,
get by,
serviceable. You know what I mean? And they're like thinking, I was talking with the homie, shout out DJ MVM, he's in that rap chat. Shout out to the rap chat. He was saying like, yo, listen, $250, like what you're compromising though is you're compromising. You are compromising quality. You are compromising. We all know a good DJ, a great DJ, a talented DJ will take your sales and extend them and hold the room, and maybe get you that extra $5K spender, $10K spender. That next round where the tables order that one more round of bottles in the room.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Which just the opportunity to possibly have that happen. For an extra $200, $250, or whatever have you, I think it's worth it.
But are people staying out as late in New York or no?
People are staying out. It's very, without risking my job in certain clubs, it's very formatted. People are very aware. It's if you go out enough, it's easy to, it's not easy, but you can see through some of the magic. You can see through some of the kind of like the experience that's being presented to you, because there's a lot of promotion. There's a lot of.
Explain it a little more simpler. Break it down.
I'm trying to be careful with my words so as not to like.
Well, is it just the same? Is it just getting redundant? The experience, is that what you're trying to say, or not really? Is it?
Yes,
it's becoming manufactured.
It's very manufactured. Some might say that it's manufactured, and some might say that it's sort of cookie cut, because there's a couple of things going on. For one, I think,
like day parties are coming up, right?
Well, now, for this season, and just in general, day parties are becoming more popular. But I think in New York, and I think you're seeing that around the country too. I think it's true in LA. I think it's true in Miami, and I think it's true in Vegas. The downtown scene, the alternate scene, is starting to emerge more. Downtown Vegas, downtown LA, downtown Miami, Wynwood, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a counterculture that's saying we're not trying to do that bottle mega glossy flossy. We're gonna go and do this, and we're gonna define ourselves by doing this. It's in New York. It's Brooklyn. In New York, it's Brooklyn. It's House of Yes. It's Kinfolk. It's, you know what I'm saying? It's these other parties. It's shout out to the homie Ellie Escobar for carrying the torch. Tiki Disco. Shout out to and this. Damn! I'm so glad that we got to.
I feel like Moma.
You took the words out of my mouth.
He would do the downtown shit, so he started doing shit on the Lower East Side, LES, before he started. For everyday people and all those other parties.
That's exactly what I was going to talk about. You have the Emergence, and this is for DJs out there. You have the Emergence. You got a choice. In the last 3 years, I've been working with 85 DJs. 85 different DJs, pitching them to clubs, pitching them for gigs, pitching them, I try to start a DJ union of agencies. But when I left Scam Artists, shout out to Sujit, who had a major impact on my career, mostly positive, but there's some lessons that I learned from being there, but also lessons that I learned about myself. I'll go into that a little in a minute, but I tried to do a union of agencies where when I knew I was going to leave Scam, where I had been for 10 years of my career, a decade, some of my prime, like the new guy on the scene, the hot boom, to like, okay, now he's established, now where's he going to take it? And I kind of like missed a couple steps. Like I had a spiral at a certain point. So I got to a point where I was like, you know what? Like, I could make excuses. I could try to blame somebody else. I could be frustrated, or I could get back to that kid with fearless. The fearless kid.
Right.
Passing out the business card.
The kid who says there's no the Kobe, the Black Mamba, who's like, yo, there's nothing but I'm going to make this happen. And then for me it was Scam supported me, but I got too comfortable. I'll just put it simply and say I got too comfortable with letting somebody else handle certain aspects of my brand and my business.
Yeah.
And I got too comfortable relying on somebody else to lead me to success. And that's not what got me to success. What got me to success is it's all on my shoulders. And I have to figure it out. And I have nobody else to answer to or to blame if it doesn't happen than myself. It's like you leaving the house, a kid leaves the house at 16 or 18 and says, I'm going out into the world to live on my own.
What were some of the lessons you learned, after leaving Scam or whatever like that? Because you mentioned you're losing sight of your brand or something, and maybe you weren't in charge of all the contacts as much or anything like that.
I have the utmost love and respect for Sujin, and I think he's done something legendary. It is indisputable that he has built something that is legendary for nightlife and for artist management, and hands down for DJ management. The most important open format DJ agency that ever existed. I was somebody who came to the table with my own clients. I came to the table with the #1 client in America, Tao Group, as their darling.
Yeah.
As their go-to guy. I was the soundtrack of their club that launched them. Right? And shout out to Sujit and to Vice, because their momentum was so strong that I had to make room for them. They were an unstoppable force. You know what I'm saying? And they were 2 guys and I was 1 guy. And they were, at the time when I was starting to get comfortable with a kid from Harlem from nothing who now is making $500,000, I was now like, I could buy any sneaker I want. I could fly people wherever I want to fly them. I can buy houses. I could do this for my mom. I could do this for my friends. I could go in the bar and buy everyone shots of tequila, drink them with you, and then buy another round. To me, in my small, the small mentality of success that I had at that moment, I was basking in it.
Yeah, you were enjoying yourself.
I was enjoying it instead of, and if anybody knows Sujit and knows Vice, you don't take too long to just sit back and soak it up and enjoy. You get back on that grind. If you know Noah Tepperberg, you might party with the club with the clients till 8 in the morning, and at 8:15, 8:30, you're in the office before the rest of your staff. That's Sujit, that's Vice, that's Noah, that's Black Mamba, that's, you know what I'm saying. That's,
you got to keep that work ethic.
You have to. You have to. If you expect to be on that level of success,
right? And
if you expect to keep pushing your brand forward and your dreams forward, you have to have that discipline.
So at some point, do you think you were just indulging, and you were kind of getting lost in maybe some of the social aspects, or like, just partying too hard, and then
alcohol?
Yeah,
I think I've seen almost 7 out of 10 of the DJ, some of the top DJs in open format, at least. I can't speak on the house music guys. I don't know them like that. But I can think of 7 out of 10 of the biggest guys who had a moment where they had too much tequila on numerous occasions, and they missed the set, or they weren't themselves in the booth. Now, how much your relationships and your goodwill allowed you to get through that, right, is very key. I had a lot of credit, so I had a lot of fuck ups that were forgiven. But
you had fuck ups, but there was still a tremendous amount of value to your brand.
Huge.
So they said, you know what, these fuck ups are not, and they're not at a like dangerous area where they're fucking up the brand, because the brand is still salvageable.
Sure,
and we still need reach.
If you stacked up my contributions and my fuck ups, you're talking about 95% to 5%. Or maybe 90% to 10%.
But there's a point where they actually sit you down and they're just kind of like, "Yo, you need help," or like it's getting a little crazy.
I went to
right?
AA.
Yeah,
I went to AA. I went to AA. Shout out to Rockticon who supported me on that. Shout out to rest in peace Jeffrey Tomlinson who supported me on that. Shout out to AM who supported me on that. We all know that could be a little bit of a topic of, you know, at some point the community of DJs.
Well, it's not something we've actually addressed.
I was going to say
too much on this podcast because not everyone is comfortable talking about it.
Right.
And some people are still in denial where they don't want to confront that issue. I actually know a lot of DJs who I think have drinking problems, and that's the last thing you want to tell another DJ is that they have a drinking problem. Because they'll deny it, but no one wants to actually confront the fact that they might have a drinking problem.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I mean, I'll tell you like this: never thought in my life that I go to Alcoholics Anonymous.
I want to hear about this, but my quick question is this: I kind of want to I want to get to the nitty gritty of the meat and potatoes.
Yes.
What was the issue you think you were having? What was the over drinking and overindulgence in alcohol?
Yeah.
What was that stemming from?
It was ego. It was I literally, like we said, I took my foot off the gas pedal. I took my foot off the gas. I got comfortable. The most successful people, in my opinion, they do not get comfortable. Mark Zuckerberg does not get comfortable.
Well, like for example, like Avicii, right? He hated to actually DJ live. He hated to perform, right?
Oh, I loved it. I love it. I love it to this day.
But he would overdrink to get over the anxiety of actually performing live.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is, what was alcohol medicating? Emotionally.
That's an amazing question, and now as you said it just
because we all self-medicate.
I'll tell you
I'm not even gonna front. I have, like, for me, I like almost any other DJ. I think we all have anxiety sometimes going into the approaching a gig sometimes. And then I'll usually take a drink or two to just calm myself down.
Yeah.
Some dudes, I mean, I don't know how they do it. They do edibles or they smoke weed. I don't know how they do that. Some dudes really do it sober.
I embarrassed myself in front of DJ Premier, my idol, one time. He passed me an L. I smoked and I completely shut down. So I was like, I can't DJ anymore. I was like, yo, I did 2 mixes and I was like, I just train wrecked 2 mixes horribly in front of Premier. I'm out. I was like, please, but sorry, go back to it.
No, but it's like what were you self-medicating maybe?
Okay,
you know
that's a great question, and the answer to that is, and it's very clear to me. The answer to that is, part of it definitely was ego. Yo, I'm at the big stage. I got this. Mm-hmm. I got myself here. I can do this. I do this shit with my eyes closed. That was part of it. I had a sense of so much confidence that I got a little too confident. Mm-hmm. The other part was, and I told people this, close friends, after, my contract was not renewed in Vegas. The travel schedule, and the idea of me as an individual. When I started DJing in 1992, after seeing the movie Juice and saying, these are some kids in Harlem, and looking at that DJ scene with DJ Q, and it grabbed me. It was like, I want to do that. I'm going to try that, right? I never in my wildest dreams, I fulfilled way beyond whatever my DJ dreams were. Mm-hmm. Way beyond.
Yeah.
So now I needed a new set of dreams.
Right.
Because doing a party, figuring out how to blend and scratch, and all that shit happened.
Yeah,
sharing the booth with Kanye, on numerous occasions, sharing the booth with Stevie Wonder, sharing the booth with Mariah Carey, sharing the booth with Justin Timberlake, I'm talking about interactive performances with these people, right? Bono coming to dap me up and buy me a bottle and be like, yo, whatever you want, whatever you want.
You on top of the world, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So for me, it was like, this was supposed to happen. All that hard work that I put in, this is where I'm supposed to be. So I was so comfortable with this new, I thought it was rock solid. I thought it was solidified. And then with my relationship with Tao Group being so strong to the point where like the older owners were like, yo, I heard you wanted to do a DJ school. Holler at us. We got you. We'll finance that. Let's sit down and talk. You know what I mean? I'm going to all the holiday events. I'm in the family, you know?
Yeah.
And you know, I felt like I was rock solid. I didn't hear the wake up calls when Noah called me and said, Reach, you're about to literally said, you are about to fuck up a multi-million-dollar relationship. I thought I had it. I said, oh, no, okay, yo, you're right. I'm going to take a couple weeks off. I'll get back on my shit. But nothing would have prepared me for getting on a plane, leaving all my friends and family every single weekend. When I signed onto that contract for $500 in Vegas at first, because they didn't know what they were going to make.
Yeah.
So they said, will you go for $500? And I was like, $500? At first I was like, what are they talking about? I'm making $500 a night with you guys in New York. But I was like, that little voice inside me, the same one that said this building's gonna be something, the same one that said, yo, go for that interview, go for that audition at Carson Daly. That same voice said, take it. And before it was my residency, it was Cassidy, and he said no. It was just Ski, and he said no, because there wasn't enough money.
Right.
And I said, I don't care what the money is. I'm going to take it, and I'm going to ride the wave.
Right.
And it's going to get me to where I need to go.
Yeah.
Now, in my life, I had a lot of blessings, and they all came from pure fearlessness. And they all came from being so focused and laser beam locked in that I only saw the success that was going to come. I didn't know when it was going to happen. I didn't know how it was going to happen. But I knew that if I keep this level of dedication, it's going to happen. I spiraled, and I got off that path when I stopped holding myself accountable. When I started saying, well, Sujit, well, Scam, well, what about what he's doing? What about, but he screwed up, that other guy. But Vice did. Yeah. But I just heard that so-and-so last week did. It was a huge blessing to be on a team. It was a huge blessing to be part of an organization. But I also, sometimes when you're part of an organization, and I'm going to keep it 1,000 with you, the agenda of the head of the organization or the direction in which, the majority of the organization or things like that, the other agendas come into play that might not be your agenda. And you need to be aware. And the best thing I learned, it's come up again for me in this past year and 2 years, is getting to a point, and for me, not saying that everybody has this challenge, but it was a challenge for me. Knowing when it's time for me to say, this is not for me anymore. And not being afraid to start over, shift gears, put a new challenge in front of you, go a different direction. I was most scared about, if I'm not with Scam, clients around the country won't think I'm with the number one agency. They're going to think something went wrong. They're going to think, maybe he's not in. I went back to New York. I lost a lot of, I fended for myself. I almost kind of had to reinvent myself.
Yeah.
I started doing B-level spots, C-level spots.
Right.
I didn't have a relationship with Tao Group. Noah, my boy Noah and Jason, they had also kind of like elevated to a level of business and responsibilities. They weren't even the ones booking the DJs anymore. So it was now I had to go talk to other people who were in charge, and their agendas, and their value system for who's good and who deserves the gig come into play.
Right.
Yeah.
And whatever credit and track record I had, you can't live. This is the thing, and it goes back to that being, if you're not busy getting born, then you're busy getting dying. That Bob Dylan quote, whatever it is. If you're not constantly, you can't rest on what you did. Your stats from last season don't matter this season. They don't win games. Your dedication, your practice hours, the jump shots you went and shot, how on it you are, you going to the gym, that matters. So I went around but I'm the guy who did. You don't remember when when Usher was in the club and he wasn't scheduled to do shit, and I got him to do 4 songs? When Neo wasn't supposed to do nothing, and we're in Vegas and I put him on the spot, and I put all his records out there, Fearless, and handed him the mic, and a moment happened.
Yeah.
And everybody left Vegas and that nightclub and said, yo, you know what happened last night? I was in the club and yeah, I did that. I orchestrated that. You might not have even paid me enough for that. I definitely don't get paid enough now, being that I was the guy who did that 100 times. Me and Justin Timberlake beatboxing songs live in front of everybody at Avenue, and me and Kanye. Anyway, right? But what I realize is you can never rest on what happened yesterday or last year. And you can never get comfortable with somebody else handling your business. You can never. You always have to check them. You always have to check yourself. You always have to have respect.
Yeah.
You have to have respect. If you are working with somebody, they need to respect you and you need to respect them. I let that slide.
So basically, sometimes when you're on the train and it's running and you got the train, you built the train, you got the train moving, you were fueling the train, and then you became in a position where everyone was helping you move the train, and you were kind of just like, all right, well, the train is moving, I could enjoy myself a little bit.
Cruise control.
And it's on cruise control,
Yeah.
and I could just kind of, and then you just maybe was getting caught up in the self-indulgence.
Yes.
And then
I was also, and the thing I said about the traveling, which I didn't really expand on, I was also lonely. I was away from my wifey doing things I shouldn't have been doing, but I was away from my girl at the time. I was away from my loved ones, all my friends. I'm only seeing you. I'm not celebrating any birthdays with you for the year, for next year, for the year after, for 5 years, unless you're coming to where I'm at. And so I was so lean with my travel and my overhead. One of the things I tried to do and be that guy for Sujit, and I'm sure there's other people like this, I wasn't the only one. I wanted to be the most, in this respect, the most low maintenance and low asking the least in terms of, I don't need an extra flight. I'll take whatever time you want to fly me out or have me get on the plane. Or you want to give me some crazy travel schedule where I'm landing here, land and jumping on another flight before the night's over and and I said, yeah, whatever. Or do whatever cheapest.
And then you just stop taking care of yourself too.
Stop taking care of myself.
Yeah.
Medicating with alcohol.
You were numbing the pain.
Numbing the pain.
Yeah.
I'd be in a hotel room, I'd be in a new city, and wherever it was, and I wouldn't leave the hotel. The client would be saying, yo, come to dinner with us, come see the city, come drink with us, and I would curve them. Because I was like, all I have is this little bit of space.
Right.
So I'm gonna order room service. That's gonna comfort me. When I get to the club, I'm gonna drink like a fish with y'all. I'm just kind of delaying that process. I don't even want to hang with you because I'm afraid that if I hang with you, scam artists were known at that time for tequila. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're known. The clients, you land and they're like, yo, we got the Patron, right? We got that shit ready for you, right?
At what point does it become dangerous when you're like drinking socially and it's becoming part of your brand? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, when me and my girl are in the club on my off nights and we're getting in screaming matches in the club in public. When I get blackout and I don't realize that I jumped in somebody else's booth and I grabbed the mic and did the super drunk blackout version of DJ Reach in another DJ's set. You know what I mean? And they were cool because it was Reach and that's the homie and he just happened to be a little drunk, but that was not okay.
So I don't want to dwell in in the negative too much. You know what I'm saying? But you got for me, I've embraced it and I've learned from it, and that's the most key. That's all I'll say is like I don't see any of it as negative things. I see it as I had to go through that to get to here. Well, it's an important part of I think your story, and your story is continuing. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like, out of all of this,
25 dates a month booked.
And
you know what I mean?
It's one of those things where and you have and you're still doing the Tuesday Baby Tuesdays. You're doing it downtown. That's becoming a really big party here in New York.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And obviously your relationship with Tao Group is still intact.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And then, like you said, you left Scam, right? Yeah. And then it forced you to start from the beginning kind of again.
Yeah.
But then it also made you create an agency on your own.
Yes.
And I want to talk about that a little bit. Yeah. Starting your own agency, because was that in your head to start an agency, or you were just doing everything on your own and then DJs were gravitating to you like, can you help me? And then all these gigs started just piling up and you're like, I can get all these guys working.
You know what happened? That's a great question. DJs had always throughout my career, because of the trajectory and the success I had along the way, along the journey, there were always DJs who were asking me, can I be down with you? Can I work with you? Can I shadow you? Et cetera, et cetera. And I had always kind of like politely been like, hey, like I don't know how to make that happen for you, but I can give you advice. I can, if I can't do a gig, I mean, I could throw it to you. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. But I didn't think I had the capacity, and I was also so locked in on my shit that part of me didn't want to like deviate from to take on the responsibility of someone else.
What's the name of your agency?
PMA and Play Music Artist Management.
Yeah. Y'all been around for a while now.
Yeah, it's been a couple years now. Yeah. So the thing for me is I learned a lot. It has been an interesting journey, and it's like a new chapter for us now. I approached I literally got to the point where I was like so distraught in my relationship with Scam, not because Sujit's a bad guy, not because Scam is a bad agency, but I just, like I said before, I wasn't relying on myself enough. Mm-hmm. I wasn't forcing myself to deliver. And then when I did deliver, I remember like being, him giving me advice to do a bunch of things and do newsletters and put out remixes and on SoundCloud and do some more branding stuff. And I felt like, okay, I took like almost a year where I just focused on everything he said, and I went back and I'll just say the results were that's not going to change. That's great, but there's not going to be any changes in your calendar. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, wait.
So you did everything. What? You did everything you did everything that you had to do.
I went down the checklist and checked every box.
Right.
Yeah.
And I checked it for 8 months actually.
But see, and here's the interesting thing, and this is what DJs have to realize, or I guess any artist has to realize too at the same time, is that basically you kind of created your train.
Sure.
And you fueled your train.
Yes.
And then by the time the train was moving and it was running top speed, Sujit came on and had it keep going.
Yes.
But at the same time, you built your brand and you built it. So when the train stopped moving, it's kind of like you had to kind of be like, Sujit's going to try to help get the train moving. Yeah. Ultimately, if you built your train and you got it moving, you also have the answers to get it moving again.
Yes.
And that's the thing I want the DJs to understand is that you can't rely on managers to know exactly how you blew up. and to blow you up again, you blew yourself up. You know what I'm saying? And you have to continuously reinvent yourself and keep going and keep going and keep going.
Yes.
And it's just one of those things. You're gonna hit those obstacles.
Yes.
You're gonna go through personal issues, and you're gonna go through business issues, financial issues. But you just gotta keep going and going. Yeah. And you can't just rely on this one dude and blame this one dude for everything, because in the end, you built the train, you got the train moving, and you know that train better than anyone, and you're gonna get it moving again. You know what I'm saying?
100%. And I want people to know.
I'm not gonna say train anymore, by the way. I'm done.
I know from doing a podcast, you look back and you're damn, I said that word so many times.
Keep going back to this train reference, this train analogy. I'm tired of this train analogy.
The scooter. No, just kidding. One of the things I want to make sure that people don't get a misconception about what I'm saying is, having a team is essential to your success. You cannot succeed without a team.
You can't do it alone.
You cannot.
You can't. No.
There's nothing you're going to do professionally. There's nothing you're going to do on a significant level for other human beings to recognize it and say that is amazing, where you didn't have some sort of a team, whether it's your professor, your teacher, your assistant, your business partner, your spouse, your trainer, your manager. There is no success without a team. None. No championship ever got won without a team. And I'm talking about individual sports, even Tiger Woods, whoever. But there's Michael Phelps, whatever. Yeah. Team.
But there's also the fact that you always have to put into account that nothing lasts forever.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So at some point, there's got to be another plan.
Yeah.
And there's got to be a way to adapt and find new paths and directions to whatever you're doing.
Yes.
And you can't just see, when something ends, you can't just be all right, it's over and it's a wrap. You got to just be nah, there's another stage to everything. You know what I'm saying?
Jay-Z's one of my favorite rappers of all time, and I'm sure I'm not the only person that feels that way. I remember, being such a fan of his music and him having such a stronghold as the undisputed king of rap, that I couldn't see a day when I couldn't even imagine Jay's not. When there's gonna be a time when Jay's not the hottest rapper, that's gonna be a long time from now. 20, 30 years from now, he'll be Granddad Jay in a wheelchair or some shit. But right now, Jay-Z for the last few albums is not making his best music. He is not he's a unbelievable alien level talent, but he's not the best rapper right now. But he understands that there's growth, and he's being born in other ways. He's being born as a businessman. He's being born as now a fighter, someone who fights for social justice.
Right.
Yeah.
He's brought Meek Mill into that. If you notice, just recently, Kim Kardashian is taking on social justice for her brand, right? Still the queen. She's still the queen. She still has the,
let's
the followers.
Let's stay on Jay-Z, yeah.
Let's stay on. I don't want to start talking about Kim Kardashian.
I don't know the queen of what, but yeah.
I mean,
I see a vision.
You know what I'm saying? The queen of just fame, Buzz or Clout.
Let's talk about Jay-Z.
Let's stay with Jay-Z. Let's not compare Jay-Z to Kim Kardashian ever again, Rich.
Wait. No, but I'm just saying in terms of people kind of people being at the height of success, and then realizing before they go into a major decline that it's time to grow, to birth myself and my career in a new way.
Right.
And I think that's something for elder statesmen DJs who've been doing this 10, 15, 20 years. That's something, because there's a lot of guys that I know, and I don't think it's just a New York thing, but there's a lot of guys who are in a place that feels you feel unsure. You feel like, what's the future gonna hold? What is this DJ thing? How long is this gonna keep going for me?
Right.
You know, and I remember there was a point where Sujit said to me, "You should think about what you're gonna do after DJing." And I remember him saying it to a couple other DJs, and some of those DJs chose, maybe not just because he said that, because of other factors as well. Some of them chose to retire, ended their career, went into other things.
Right.
I knew that it wasn't the time for me
Right.
to do that. I don't know if that was the best management advice, but if what he meant was prepare yourself for another birth,
Right.
or another evolution as a artist, businessman, etc., that I can agree with.
But you know yourself better than Sujit too.
Sure.
And that's the thing. And honestly, Sujit is, he's a great agent, a booking agent.
Sure.
But he's not gonna he's gonna try to give you ideas and everything. But you know
Yes.
your brand better than him in the end.
And to his credit, like, listen, he leads a lot by example and says, look how hard I'm working. Look how many iterations of my website or my app or my merch that I'm doing.
Right.
Sometimes it's hard for a leader to fully like articulate everything and say, here's what I did and how I did it, and here's the, here you should do a photo shoot now. Here are the photographers,
Right,
and the contacts,
right.
Something he could have done, but he didn't do. And I don't fault him for that. But there's a different type of management that does that.
Well, like going back to Jay-Z and what you're
Yes.
talking about, though, Jay-Z's been through all types of shit through his career,
Of course.
and ups and downs, and like you said, we're really starting to see, like you said, he's helping with social injustice.
Yeah.
He's even paying for lawyer fees for
Everyone started.
Yes.
for different, and it's really a commendable thing. It's kind of when you get
Yes.
to a certain stage of power and money where you can do almost anything you want.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Like, are you going to try to make more money and get more power, or are you
Right.
going to try to help those who don't have any money and have no power,
Sure.
and really like champion them and like become the voice for them?
Yeah.
And I think like I want to talk about Jay-Z a little bit,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you actually went on. You did I forgot the name of it. I always forget the name of this, but he did like
7 hours. The
the
hangar
24
tour.
hour, the 24 hour hangar tour.
7 cities in 24 hours, something like that. Yeah.
So you went on tour with him for that 24 hours.
I did the New York concert. Me and DJ.
What
Self.
album was it? It was
Kingdom Come.
Kingdom Come.
It was
Kingdom
2006.
Come. Kingdom Come.
I
Yeah.
so the marketing campaign for the release of Kingdom Come.
Yeah.
Jay-Z did a 24-hour tour in 7 different cities.
Yes.
He did Atlanta, Philly, DC, Jersey, Chicago, LA, and then ended it in Vegas.
Yes.
And then he also did
And
New York. Yeah.
Yes.
And then you were the New York DJ for that.
Yes. So something interesting. Yeah. So I was me and DJ Self were the New York DJs, which was an amazing honor to do that. To be part of that, to be part of that legendary tour, which no one had done that in music. I don't know if anyone's done that since then in music. And that was like, that was a dream come true, because this guy is my favorite rapper.
Yeah. Did you like 444?
I did.
You did?
Yes, I did like it. I felt like, and this is how I felt about the last few albums, is it wasn't the music. 444 specifically, I understand why he made that music.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that music as a piece of his legacy.
Yeah.
It's not what I wanted as a fan. It's not the Jay that I wanted to hear.
Are you just kind of stuck on the old Jay though?
You wanted the club Jay-Z, right?
Yeah,
the
like,
bangers, like
yeah, and it's funny because consciously I noticed, like, there was a certain point where I was like, excuse me, some of the records that I like from him the most are him being a single guy, talking about getting chicks and hooking up and living a playboy lifestyle.
Yeah.
If he's presenting his music in a way where it reflects his life.
Well, he's evolving.
He can't
and
talk like that.
Well, the music is evolving along with him, and it wouldn't be, I guess, it wouldn't be sincere of him to continue make music as a single guy,
right?
And whatever like that.
Now
but you're not accepting the evolved Jay-Z though.
I as a music and entertainment and African American icon, I accept his legacy. I accept where he has evolved to and his business. I think he's doing really smart things. I'm that nerd that went to the website and counted.
But you wanted like another PSA
artist.
or something.
He has 100 artists.
But you wanted like another PSA.
Rockefeller had at most maybe 15 artists at one time. Rock Nation has 101 artists. Last time I checked, a couple weeks ago. I went down. I literally transcribed every name of every artist that they manage and put it in my phone. Just for no reason.
Research purposes.
That's I don't know. I do research. Like I do weird research like that. So like so he's in many respects he's way beyond. And I think he's doing something really smart where like for him to make the next business step music wise, right? You go back to you make amends with people that you might have had beef with, Cam, Jimmy, Fat Joe. You make amends with some of those people. One of his things that he's doing, or so it seems, is artists that had a moment of, a peak moment, and now are in the decline, right? And they're figuring it out, and they're, trying to, sustain and stay relevant, and continue a career as a working artist for the next 20 years, hopefully doing tours and selling music and selling other products. He's saying, I have this much clout and this much power in the music space that I'm making these deals, and I'm making these deals with Live Nation saying I'm going to be the gatekeeper for all of these artists that I'm going to have come under my umbrella. And I'm going to sell Live Nation the touring of all of these artists. So I'm going to take them under my wing, and I'm going to say, listen, I'm going to fight for you to have a fair percentage, proper tour support, whatever have you, to the big guy. Live Nation, right? They have the touring market locked down, so I'm gonna broker you to them. Smart. Yeah. He's going for market. He's going for the marketplace. He's taking the marketplace of his subcategory in music, hip hop, and he's selling as many of those people to Live Nation, and that's his business. One aspect of his business. That's smart. He's doing the same thing for similar things with brand deals. I'm bringing Rihanna with me. I'm bringing this one with me. I'm bringing, all of these people, Meek, and I have the power to influence them to get on board with Puma, to get on board with Reebok, to get on board with. That's what he's doing. So I literally, when I looked at my agency, I said, wait a second. Prices are in decline for DJs. The biggest way for DJs to get exploited is for us to be divided individuals. The most powerful thing and the most leverage we could possibly have is if we banded together and found unity. People are scared of the word union. So I don't throw that word around that much because that's a scary word for some people when it comes to business. Because a union could be scary for
so then what are you
clients.
What are you trying to attempt? Or?
So what I first started to do was I said, all right, I want to start an agency. I didn't feel like I was getting artist management. So I literally went and researched artist management because I felt like I had a booking agent scam, but I didn't feel like, even though it said management in the title, I thought, is this really what artist management is? And then I did research and I started watching YouTube videos and reading books. And I looked at CAA and I looked at the story of CAA. I looked at William Morris. I read the books. I went to interviews and looked at Leo Cohen and read articles and YouTube videos and so on and so forth, and listened to podcasts. And Lior said, however people judge him as a businessman, he said the essence of artist management is how can I be helpful? Mm-hmm. Almost unconditionally. Mm-hmm. How can I support you? That's my job. And he said, I need my strength and the most powerful thing I can do is understand my artists to the point where I know how to put them in a space or in an environment where they can assume their best form, which is the form under which they do greatness.
Right.
They achieve greatness. Mm-hmm. You need weed. You need to be on an island. You need to never worry about your finances, or you need to never, your baby mama needs to be taken care of, or you need to be in tip-top shape, or you need to, whatever it may be. He needs to figure that out.
Reach is passionate about this shit.
Take this
shit seriously. I'm gonna do some seminar. I'm not even gonna lie. Like I'm thinking about I don't know. That's one of the things for me is just broadcasting and speaking to people.
You got a ton of knowledge and a ton of experience, and there's so much that you could be offering to people. But we're really happy to have you on the podcast.
Thank you guys so much.
I really appreciate it.
Oh my God! What? Holy shit! I'm sorry. You can edit it down. Sorry. Reflections of a DJ podcast is a dope ass podcast. You need to tell all your friends about it. You need to tune in every time they drop an episode. These guys are doing something very cool and very, I respect what you guys have put together, and I can't wait to see how the journey unfolds, man.
I don't know if our listeners agree, but
make sure you subscribe on youtube.com/R.O.A.D podcast. Subscribe, like, and comment, and hit the little notification bell for when we drop a video every Friday. And then back to you, Kirk.
At DJ Reach, that's me. At PMA Agency, that's me. PMAGENCY, and at DJ REACH. I got business cards for all of y'all.
Yeah, there we go.
All right. Shout out to DJ City.
There we go.
Big shout out to DJ City.
Love DJ City.
All right, y'all. Peace.